So, so I posted a picture of my setup last month, and I just had a folding chair. And someone on Twitter, I think it was it Craig. I can't remember for sure. Someone, I can't. It doesn't matter. Someone on Twitter gave me a hard time about the chair, and they're like, "Man, you got to get a better chair." And I was like, "Oh, I just brought this out just to record because this. It's not like I stream. It's not like this is my background for, you know, streaming on Twitch or anything like that. It's this is my legit office chair. The only problem, it is super comfortable, but if I like move around or like adjust, it does sound like I got some really bad gas. So I apologize about that.
It's all right. I did hear something that sounded a bit like flatulence, and so I just had to ask. But thanks for clarifying. And your work chair, I think officially is a gaming chair, but I know you
It
don't use it for
is.
gaming.
I've never gamed. Well, actually, I take that back. I can't say I've never gamed. Like I'll play Switch in it or Steam Deck, but it's not. It's in my office. It's I don't have a TV in there. I don't have a console in there. Like I said, I don't stream. I just heard how everyone say how comfortable they were, and when I started working from home, I guess now 3 years ago, I needed a chair. So I was like, well, if I'm going to get a chair, maybe I'll just try out a gaming chair. And I've really liked it. So there you go.
Well, let's be honest. Do you think people spend more time sitting gaming or sitting at work? My hunch is probably gaming, which is why those chairs are probably more comfortable.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you what. When I first came home, I had an office chair. It was a crappy one. And one day it broke. Literally I don't know the technical term, but the rod on the base um, broke through and came up. Luckily, it didn't do any damage, didn't puncture or pierce anything, but it broke. And so when you spend 8 hours a day in a folding chair, you order a chair really fast. Because I was putting like pillows and blankets, folding them up, putting them under the chair, trying to add a little extra pad, and it was just brutally uncomfortable. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
can't even imagine. And my wife went through something very similar recently where she started working from home last summer and we bought a relatively, it wasn't a folding chair, but relatively cheap chair. And for her, her hips were just bothering her and she would just talk so much about how much her hips hurt. So we started looking for a chair that was a little more expensive and she would send me some chairs and say, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And every time I would just respond to her, "Well, I mean, it looks fine. Just buy what you want. I'm not the one sitting in the chair all day." But
yeah,
this went back and forth forever. And this happens sometimes when you're married where the wife needs some validation, or it happens a lot with going out for dinner, right? They'll throw out a lot of ideas, but they really, what they're saying is they want you to make a decision. So I got the sense that she really just wanted me to say, "Yes, that's the one, buy that one." Well,
sorry.
that was
I was like, I
nice.
gotta mute my mic. It just came. Sorry.
just yeah, just let it out when it comes. Hey, in this podcast, we talked about flatulence in our first episode. I thought your chair was flatulence, which is why we're having this whole conversation right now. Just body fluids, they're just gonna happen. We're two guys, right? So anyway, when I finally realized that that's what she wanted is for me to just tell her what to buy, I started sending her replies to her picks for chairs, a gaming chair every time she
Yeah.
sent me one. And it made her so mad because she's like, "What do you think I am, an astronaut?" She's like, "What the crap is that? Why do you need all these levers and gadgets and pillows and functionality?" And I mean, because they're so much more elaborate than a typical work chair. And I think they look super cool. And I was kind of hoping she would buy one so that I could use it in my game room. See, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to get her what she needed by telling her what to buy, but suggesting something that I really wanted. That's kind of how Christmas gifts work too around
Right.
here. But she's caught on to me by now. And do you want to know what we settled on?
What did you settle
What she
on?
finally got? I'm sitting in it right now because I don't have a chair in my gaming room. And don't tell anyone this. I have some extra chairs at work, some really nice ones. I stole this, so this is paid for by public tax dollars.
Oh, geez.
It was supposed to just be during the summer when there was no one in the building. And then we
Right.
moved and she's just been enjoying it and no one has asked for it back at work. Now, I fully intend to take it back because I just guarantee someone's going to listen to this from my job and they're going to report me to the tax commission. So this is probably the last time you'll ever see this in my home. Now I have to take it back and buy a new one.
Might be the last time I ever see you. I mean, who knows about the goons at the school district?
I think they have bigger fish to fry these days. Maybe 20 years ago that was a big offense, but now you hear
Yeah.
about these teachers doing all kinds of crazy, weird stuff, beating kids and dragging them down the hall. And so stealing a chair, hopefully, is a lesser offense than it used to be. It's borrowing.
Yeah.
I'm borrowing this chair.
Yes. 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 You're working from home.
Anyway, so when you work from home, yeah, just that's kind of cool. I'm jealous, really. What are some of the pros and cons of working from home?
Cons, there are none.
Oh, serious? Don't tell me that.
Some people say, "Oh, you're so much more effective though when you're in an office setting." I don't think so. I would argue the people that are ineffective in the office will be ineffective at home and vice versa. Pros are this is what I wear to work. There are days where
For those of you who
where
can't
I'm
see him, he's got a hoodie, Legend of Zelda t-shirt, and a Chicago White Sox ball cap. That is the
yeah,
ultimate office attire right there.
yeah. I mean, there are days where I'm on camera. I don't wear a hat on those days. I actually comb my hair on those days. Generally Mondays we have our team meeting. And if I know there's other meetings that I'm going to be on camera, I'll try and look presentable. But most of my calls and most of my meetings are off camera. So I don't have to dress up or do anything fancy. Not having a commute is wonderful. Most of my team is in the DC area. I'm a contractor for the government, if I haven't said that before. And so I start at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. I get done at 3:30. Where previously, when I was commuting into Salt Lake City, same basic hours, but basically I was getting up an hour earlier and getting home hour and a half later. So yeah, I don't have really many cons. It's great.
Well, I can think of one just in the commute because there was a time you were taking public transportation and you were
Yeah.
able to sit and play your Switch on your way to and from
Yes.
work. So that's some pretty cool gaming time that you wouldn't normally have.
Yeah, and one of the things that was really cool about that is when I would take the bus, I would have 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back, and if I was taking the Switch, I could maybe play for like 20 minutes on a lunch break too. Um, so I'm getting close to 2 hours a day on the Switch when I was taking the bus. If I played the whole time, there were times where I was just tired and I just wanted to close my eyes or just listen to a podcast. But yeah, that was really cool. But also now I stay up later gaming because I don't have to wake up as early. So like I don't play as much, but I still get a lot of time to play. So yeah.
That's cool. I still think that would have been a lot of fun. I've never been able to play a video game on my way to work, but I do play at work. See, that's the advantage I have over you is I work with a lot of kids, and so I've built in a way, I think I've mentioned this before, for my students to be able to earn game time with Principal Bodden. Hey, I did think of one other con because, well, I want to ask you if you think it's a con. As I mentioned a second ago, my wife also works from home. And the con she constantly tells me about is she has access to so much food. And see, we're Fit Dad, Game Dad. And so we kind of talked about a con being you not having time to game. Well, how, does it impact your fitness at all or healthy lifestyles? Because I've noticed when I'm home on the weekends, I have the hardest time making good eating choices because all the food is just easily accessible. Whereas I'm at work, I pack my little lunch, which is a salad, and I try not to be around snacks or go into the faculty room because I know there's going to be donuts or something in there. And I just seem to do so much better when I have that structured routine with my eating. Does that cause a problem for you? Is that a con with working at home?
Um, Not really. And here's the reason why. I mean, it could be, and maybe at first, maybe so, but I never eat out. I eat left. I save money by eating leftovers from dinner for lunch, and I'm not. it's not like where you're in team atmosphere, where like, hey, let's go out to lunch, or where maybe if you didn't pack something or if you didn't like what you brought. When I worked in the office, I was in Salt Lake City. If you know anything about Salt Lake, I was right next to a Harmon's grocery store. And then across the street was, gosh, I keep wanting to call it Crossroads Mall, but it hasn't been Crossroads in like 30 years.
That's what it used to be. There's a callback. That's old school.
Yeah.
That's like the Delta Center's coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, the mall was across the street. And so there was the food court. So I think I've gone out to eat in 3 years, maybe twice since I've been working from home. I just don't. I mean, like, since the kitchen's right there, it seems silly to go out to eat. If anything, occasionally Steph will go and get like Chick-fil-A and I'll say, yeah, just give me a salad. Mm-hmm. But so, yeah,
well, that's my problem.
aspect,
it's not the eating out. I get what you're saying about the eating out. My problem is
the snacking.
The kitchen is accessible. I don't have a kitchen
Yeah.
at work. And so this is the snacking. Yeah, not necessarily the eating out that gets me.
Yeah, but when I was in the office, there was always donuts and pizza. There's always junk there too, it seemed. So, I mean, maybe different for you than it was for me, but cake for someone's birthday, or I don't know. So yeah,
How about a concha? Concha. I'm probably saying that wrong. I apologize for anyone who is of South American Mexican descent, but I have a few colleagues who have been bringing in conchas this year, and they are delicious. You ever had one of those?
That is. No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, you need to go first Google concha to make sure I'm saying it right. I hope I'm not swearing.
Spell it right.
Now I'm kind of like,
'cause...
does that sound like a Spanish swear word? I don't know. But they're these delicious Mexican pastries, and they're crumbly, and they've got it's not frosting because it's this powdery. It's almost like powdered sugar that's kind of baked into the top, but it just crumbles and gets everywhere. It gets all over my beard and stuff. But yeah, I gotta lay off the conchas. In fact, I'm gonna be talking about that for one of my goals later. In fact, should we start the show, Josh? We just get the show started. We've been rambling on here about conchas and other things.
I guess we could.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna start the show.
Wait, you're gonna start a show? Oh, is that what we're doing? We're doing a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot. Okay, Josh, go ahead. Start the show.
Brett, I have church early in the morning. It is late, and one of the things I'm going to tell you about for my goals is you're going to understand why I'm having anxiety about it being late. It's an old man thing, but we'll get to it. Doc,
I can't
get
wait.
on your bicycle. Mac, put on your pink hoodie and high tops, and let's get this thing going. You dancing around.
The dancing will make sense when there's music. The listeners will hear the music. You won't hear. We're not hearing music because we do that in post-production. So I was doing a little dance for the music in my head. It's going to be there later.
Really, if you watch this on YouTube or Spotify, is probably the best because you get to see Brett doing the jig. Okay. Welcome to Fit Dad Game Dad, a monthly podcast where two middle-aged dads encourage each other to reach both their fitness and couch gaming goals. I'm your host, Josh Stapleton, and with me, as always, is the artist formerly known as Brett T. Bowden. I present to you, Brett Bowden.
Oh,
Come
the
on.
art. Oh, I gotcha. Yes. The art. I am not the purple one, or the artist formerly known as a symbol. But
You've only been called that for years on Married to the Game. Do you even remember? I wrote in years ago and I did a oops. And Router, bless his soul, still every single time.
Love those guys.
No.
No offense taken at all. I've been called
much
worse things. Most of my students call me Bottom, because my name is Bawden and it sounds like bottom, and so they giggle and think that my name is Mr. Butt. So I just tell them call me Mr. B. We can just avoid all the confusion. We can just call me B. He's in the house. Okay, that's horrible. Let's not do that either. I was listening. Okay, this is gonna. It's gonna offend people. I was literally listening to Prince in the car on the way home. One of his songs came in on the radio. Very
Okay.
rarely do his songs turn up on the stations that Janine and I listen to. And we both kind of looked at each other, and I wish I knew what song it was, because I was like, why do people like Prince so much? And I'm sorry, I so many people probably just unclicked subscribe because I said that. I don't get it. I don't get the allure of the Purple One, the artist formerly known as. Do you understand what's so great about him? Because I'm sorry, I can't get into his music.
You realize who you're asking. I mean, I have the culture of a kindergartner. So, no, I'm not a Prince fan. But then again, my music taste is so far from that. So, if I had liked similar type stuff, maybe I could speak more on it. But I mean, if you recall the last concert we went to together, that was nothing like Prince.
No,
So,
but that was cool. Why don't you tell the listeners about Leprous? Because I didn't know anything about them, and this is who we went and saw. And it was a small little venue, maybe 200, 300 people there. And
yeah.
I still am craving Josh to go back to that. And I know they don't come around and tour, they're not from the States, let alone Utah very often. But if they're in a
Yeah.
neighboring state, Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, Josh, we got to make another road trip because they were spectacular.
Yeah, well, they're a Norwegian. How would I say it? A Norwegian, not. I keep wanting to say metal. I mean, they are metal.
Progressive metal,
Progressive
right?
metal. Thank you. It's late. They're a Norwegian progressive metal. It's hard to say. Band that I found on Spotify years ago. It was under, if you listen to Spotify, it's like you might also like so and so. And so one day I was just trying all the suggestions, and there was another progressive metal band, European progressive metal band I like called Soen, and it suggested Leprous to me. And even though I really still like Soen, I like Leprous so much more, and they have quickly become one of my all-time favorite bands. And so when I found out they were coming to the States, I was stoked about it. And sure enough, they've come to Salt Lake City twice over the past, I don't know, maybe 5 years. So it is just recently they came, so they're probably not coming anytime soon. But you better believe, yeah, I'll go again when they come. So
And did we take Andrew to that? I can't remember, or was it just
no,
me
it
and
was
you?
just me and you. It was just me and
Okay,
you.
because I didn't know it at the time, but my daughter was starting to get into some of the harder rock as well, and she's played me a few songs since then. And I don't think she's quite discovered European progressive metal yet, but based on what she played for me, I know she would like it. So
Yeah.
if they do come again, I'm bringing her. So if you want to bring
Well,
Andrew,
and
but
it's
I think she
interesting
would love it.
because you say metal, and I think a lot of people just get this connotation in their heads of just like screaming, and that's not. I mean, they do a little bit of that, but that's really not what they're about. But the reason we didn't take any real quick, the reason we didn't take any of the kids is the venue was so small that it's also considered a bar, so you had to be 21 to go.
Well, this is gonna make me be a true old dad. By the time they come around again, Lucy will probably be 21. She's turning 18 in July.
Wow! Oh my gosh!
So scary, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say though about them being more than just a screaming band. Some of the lead singer, and I can't remember his name, but not only are his melodies beautiful, but the tone and the range of his voice and the control he have are so good that you showed me a YouTuber who's a professionally trained opera singer, and most of you probably know this
Yes.
YouTuber because she's so popular. But I can't remember. You'll have to tell me her name. And you showed me videos where she breaks down his singing technique, and she was blown
It's
away by
the
his
charismatic voice, I think.
charismatic voice. And I loved watching her reaction to him because as a trained classical musician myself, I can relate more to her on what I was hearing. And he really, I don't know if he was trained classically, but boy, he's definitely more than just your stereotypical screaming metal. I mean, the man is seriously a talented musician.
Yeah, Einar Soldberg. I'd have to look up, but Einar. So
Einar
anyway,
Ragnarok. Speaking of
Einar.
speaking of Einar and Ragnarok, I think we have some goals to talk about with that might be a little bit related there, right? Is that a good transition or what?
Yes, Brett. And since we are in March, it means that it is time to account for February and see how we did. So let's get into our skill tree. Okay. So, Brett, let's start off first with our co op goal. And I'm going to preface this by saying our co op goal was to finish God of War Ragnarok. And so, for the next few minutes, we're going to talk about it. We're going to avoid story beats. But if you're listening and you don't want to hear anything about it, because we're just basically going to talk impressions, but we might have some very minor spoilers in as we talk. If you don't want to hear, just skip ahead for the next couple minutes. So you've been warned, but like I said, we're going to try and not say anything story-wise.
And the reason we get to even talk about some of our impressions and story beats is because you forgot to mention the most important thing. We both accomplished this goal, and we both beat God of War Ragnarok. Now, I started it before you and was further ahead than you, I think, at the time of our last showing, but you actually beat it first. So why don't you tell us how you did that and maybe some initial first impressions?
Well, it's funny because this was our co-op goal the previous month. Right? Wasn't it our co-op goal in January?
Yes,
as well?
and we did this 2 months in a row because we failed the first time.
And February being a short month, when it was, I think I want to say like 10, 12 days into the month, I started to get nervous because like, crap, I don't want to fail twice. But I really just started playing it a lot. I started both playing it on the PS5, and then I also was doing remote play on the Steam Deck to sneak in some extra time. And I actually got it done middle of the month maybe. So I don't know why I was stressing about it, because I really was able to get it done with plenty of time. But I loved it. I'll just say I loved it. I know a lot of people, overall, it's been very positive, the reviews on this game. But I've heard a lot of people that have said something along the lines of, yeah, it was really good, just not really good as the first. And maybe it's because this is more fresh in my mind, but I kind of feel like this was better than the first even. It was that good, if not right on the same level. I didn't feel like there was anything that really dragged it down. Now, this, once again, we said there'd be some minor spoilers. This is a minor spoiler, but you do play as Atreus for a little bit and, for a decent portion of the game. And I know there are some people that didn't like that. I thought it was great. I thought it opened up the story quite a bit instead of hindering it. So my impressions were great. What about yours?
I agree with so many things you said, but for different reasons. So let's go back to first. Is it better than the first game or second? I'm going to agree with you, but my reasons are because the story related to me a little more than the first game because of where I am in my life. I have 3 teenagers, and the first game was, in my opinion, the overall theme. There's lots of themes, of course, in these games, which really has made the game as successful it is as because the story is so well crafted. The characters and their relationships with each other are so well crafted, and I think that's one of the hallmarks of the series. But the first game was more about Kratos learning to be a father and what that meant. And when I played that, I had gone through that journey quite a few years ago, and all new fathers do, or people considering being a father go through that journey. But I had not overcome that, but I've been at peace with that in my life. That, okay, I'm a father now, and I can do this. But now the new challenge is, okay, what are these teenagers are pushing back a little bit, and they're trying to find their own identity, and how do you let them go, and how do you keep them safe and protect them from all that's out there in the world, but also get them ready to be on their own. And that was one of the bigger themes of the game, and that's exactly what I'm going through. I mentioned in the intro that my daughter's turning 18 in July, and so that's a big thing for me right now. So just that alone, just how personal it was to me, is one of the reasons why I thought it was better. But that's a very personal reason. But I think all the other things that made the game great, the combat mechanics, the, like I said, the story, the art, all of that, the boss battles and things, I thought were just as good as the first one for sure.
Okay. So there's something we need to talk about, because there's something when we were texting each other over the course of the month, in regards to.
Okay. I know where you're going. So let me tell you about my second impression. And I'll explain. Okay. And this will lead into it, because I know where you're going. I know because you wanted me to bring this up on the show. And for the record, I'm glad you brought it up, because I didn't want to be the one to embarrass you. But this might be a little embarrassing for Josh.
It is what it is.
So first of all, as Josh mentioned, it was the middle of the month, and he was starting to stress a little bit about not getting through the game. And he texted me, and he's like, okay, every day I kept getting these texts. I'm on chapter 12, I'm chapter 13, I'm chapter 14. I mean, you're just burning through it, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going so fast. And then you got to the last chapter, and you're like, hey, I think, I'm almost done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't even moved one chapter. And then it stalled for a few days for you. And I'm thinking, okay, what's going on? Well, I get another text, and he's like, I think I need to lower the difficulty. Now, for the record, that's not the embarrassing part, because there is no shame in lowering the difficulty. And I explained to you, I had done the exact same thing on the last boss with Horizon Forbidden West. I don't want to go into it now, but I did the exact same thing, okay? And so you did that, and you beat the game. So it was about that time where the pace started to pick up for me. I was finding some more time to game, and as I was doing that, I was getting to the part of the story where it was really starting to grab me, and where you were, like you were saying earlier, playing as Atreus. And one of the things I liked about playing Atreus that you didn't mention is almost every time you played him, he had and this is a bit of a spoiler, he had a different companion with him. He always had a companion, right? But sometimes it was Thor. Sometimes it was Thor's daughter. Sometimes it was this other girl he had met. And that opened up so many different story beats and characters. And that's, to me, why it was also better than the first game. Because the first game, on a technical writing level, to build a relationship between two characters that's really sound is difficult. And to do it with that many characters was just masterful, in my opinion. So anyway, so the pace started picking up for me, but I was still going slower than you, because what I was doing is I was making sure I was
doing correctly.
Okay.
Sorry.
For me, well, what I have learned
just
in
have
playing games like this, because okay, people don't even know where we're going with this, so let me just spit this out. This is there's a role-playing element to this game. You've got to level up your character, you got to level up your weapons, and your weapons, you can attach different abilities. Specifically, this game has something called rune or runic attacks. I can't remember exactly what they're called. And for each weapon, and there's 3 weapons, you can have, by the end of the game, 2 runic attacks, and you can upgrade each of those runic attacks. So I'm spending a lot of time trying those out and seeing which ones I like. And in a typical boss battle, Josh, I would use, 3 times 2, 6, I would use 6 runic attacks basically in a row to really get their health down, and then I could start to melee and button mash.
Sounds wonderful.
So when I finally got to the last boss, I'm like, oh, I didn't have to lower the difficulty. So I started asking you a few questions. I'm like, why was this so hard? I didn't find it to be that hard. Which runic attack did you use? Because I thought maybe you just chose one that, was a little underpowered or not quite right for the scenario. Well, I was operating from an assumption that you were using rune attacks, but tell me what your reply was when I asked you which runic attack you were using.
I'm pretty sure it was, what's a runic attack?
What's a rune attack? I was like, wait a minute. You're not using any rune attacks? That, to me, that was the heart of the combat.
So when
It's kind of
and
like going into a gunfight, Josh, and let's say you start a game with a pistol and you upgrade to a shotgun, and pretty soon you have a machine gun at the end. Well, you basically played the whole game with your bare fists.
yeah. Yeah, so I was upgrading armor and I was paying attention to that. But I don't know when they kind of had the little mini walk through this portion of the game, if I was just half asleep or because I'm okay. I'm not one of those people that like skips through cutscenes. Like that drives me insane. However, when games sometimes have a lot of different menus, sometimes I'll get frustrated and maybe not have the attention span that I should. I'm trying to be better about that with games, with actually reading and figuring out what it's trying to teach me. But for whatever reason, I totally spaced that and I played the whole game without it. And when I got into the actual Ragnarok portion of the game, it got very difficult. And I think I texted you and I said something along the lines of, I know I can make it through this because I was kind of hitting checkpoint, but it was a lot of like dying a whole bunch, then finally making it through. And there's one point where I was like, I know I can, if I really stick with it, I'll get it. But I was getting so frustrated that it was taking me like 30 tries to get to the next checkpoint that finally I was like, I got to finish this game. I want to see the story. I don't want to spend 10 more hours in this last chapter. So yeah, so I bumped it down and still had a great experience. The game was fantastic. And maybe someday I'll go back and replay it and actually see what the heck I was supposed to play it like. So yeah, so there's that.
Well, you know what? There's two ways to look at this. There's the embarrassing approach of Josh missed the tutorial somehow, which we can totally blame that on being tired and being a dad. So totally legitimate excuse. So I don't think there's any shame in it. But the second way to look at it is, dude, incredibly impressive that you were to beat this game with just your bare fists or button mashing. So I couldn't have done it. I those rune attacks like totally saved me in so many scenarios. So good job on beating this game. Good job for both of us.
They
for,
do sound
you know,
wonderful.
No, they were really cool. They were really cool. My favorite one was
There were some boss fights that were very hard.
there was a lot of cool ones, but my favorite one was this when you had the double blades, blades of chaos, where he would spin them and they would cause these flames to come up through the ground in front of you and then shoot forward. The flames would keep popping up and just make almost like Back to the Future, like the two tire tracks that are on fire. But imagine flames shooting up and killing enemies and just shooting forward at the same time. And because there's two of them, just like he has the two blades of chaos, I use that a ton because enemies would get hit with those that were in front of you, and the enemies behind them would get hit with them, and the enemies behind them would get hit, and they'd go flying everywhere, and they'd be on fire, and you felt so powerful. And I'm sorry you missed out on that.
Yeah, well, I remember afterwards you sent me a link of all the attacks, and I watched them. I'm like, huh, those would have been helpful. Yes, very much. So yeah, but still, even playing it the way I played it, great game. Highly recommend it. And yeah, I'd really love to go back and play it the right way at some point. Just who knows when that'll be, but I would love it. Okay, so Brett, we both finished God of War. Kudos to us on that. Now I'm going to move down to my next goal, which
2
was
points for each of us, right?
Yes, sorry, 2 points to each of us. My next goal was to start and complete my eBay taxes spreadsheet.
Wah, wah. That doesn't sound very fun. So wait, you went from God of War to taxes. That's quite a step down in my opinion. But go ahead. Had to be done.
Well, you know, so it's interesting. So last month I was really confident. I was like, okay, this is the one thing that has to be done. This is the one thing I'll get done. And I did. However, I learned a valuable lesson. Okay. And that is when you request from eBay your document for the whole year of all your sales, it takes a little while to get it, but I requested it a while ago. It came as an email, and I figured, okay, cool, I have it here, so now when I want to do it, I can do it. However, I didn't read the email when I first got it. I just saw that it came in, and I figured it was there.
Wait. There's a
Um,
theme here. You're not reading the
yeah,
in the video games, the instructions, how to play them. You're not reading your
yeah.
emails for your taxes, Josh.
No.
This is more serious than a video game. You've got to read the
Well,
fine print.
well. So here's the thing. So it says you have. I can't remember what it was, like 72 hours to download this. Otherwise, it gets erased. I opened that email like 3 weeks later.
Your taxes
So
will self-destruct.
yeah, so I had this tax appointment that I had to reschedule because I had to re-request my eBay stuff. I did get it. I got it right at the end of the month. Spent a number of hours, but I did get it done. So
Wow, that
did
ended up being kind of an exciting story for taxes. So good
for
job.
taxes. Yeah.
Let's give yourself 2 points for that, Josh. Nice work.
Yes.
Way to
Nice.
get that done. Well, my next side quest was to finish a book. That's reading, Josh. Now I know you don't do very good with that. We'd mentioned
I
a few
don't.
times. Yes, so neither do I. This book, as I mentioned last time, I started 2 years ago. I have not read a fiction book in 2 years because I've been working on this one book. Now, I read a lot for work, I read a lot of nonfiction, so I do feel like I am maintaining my intellectual capacity for reading through work, but that's not fun. So I really wanted to finish Ready Player 2, which is the sequel to
Okay.
the book Ready Player One, which was turned into a movie by Steven Spielberg. And I did it. I started out by reading just one chapter a night. I probably had about 10 chapters left throughout the month. Obviously, I don't read every night. And I finished this one pretty early in the month, so I was feeling pretty good about it. So, and I liked the book overall. If you've read any of the Ready Player One, any of those novels, this one, so the first one was definitely more written to be read, and then when Steven Spielberg turned it into a movie, he had to add a bunch of elements to make it more adventurous and more action. Because a lot of the things that happened in the book one happened were stagnant. It was just the main character standing in front of a video game describing him playing it. Well, that'd be boring to watch a movie of someone playing a video game. So it was clear that this time the author was trying to make the book more like the movie, which, in my opinion, I would have rather seen the two books be similar and then the two movies be similar. I'm not the one. I'm not a purist. They don't have to match or anything like that.
Right.
But it really felt like the author was trying to write the script for the next movie, and so it was way more action packed, and it just didn't. It wasn't as personal because of that. The first one I liked because we got into the characters a little bit more and into their heads, and this one was just so full of action and there was so much going on that it lost me. I'm looking forward to the movie. I think they are making a movie. I don't know if Steven Spielberg is attached, but I'm pretty sure it's been greenlit to make the movie version of Ready Player 2. So it will be a good movie again. But yeah, I got that done. So 2 points for me.
Okay, well, it's interesting because if you're not watching the video version, when you were talking about it, I turned around and I looked because I have a couple books back here. One of them was given to me by a former coworker who's also a gamer, a I can't say that name, Jason Schreier. I don't know why it's hard. Well, I know why it's hard for me. I had a speech impediment growing up, and certain words still now will get my tongue twisted. Which a book that I'm about 3/4 the way through. Um, Gosh, I'm gonna turn and look. Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. Right before I turn and look, Blood, Sweat. That's what it's called.
That's what Pixels. Okay.
However, someone got me Ready Player One. I don't remember. I don't even remember who got it for me. I haven't read it yet. I've never seen the movie either.
Oh,
So maybe that'll be a future.
never seen the movie.
I
Okay.
haven't. I
Huh.
haven't.
Well, I watched the movie and then read the book. And then so this time around, I read the book and then hopefully I'll be able to watch the movie. So I would I wouldn't recommend one way or the other. I probably for you, since I know how limited we both are on time, I would say just go watch the movie and see if it's your thing. It's worth watching the movie. I don't know if reading the book is necessarily worth it unless you really like the movie. That's what happened to me. I actually really loved the first movie and I wanted to learn more about it. But you should definitely watch the movie, being a video game guy.
I mean, yeah, and I got the book right behind me, so I don't
I'm
know.
going to make
One of
that
the-
a
one of these
side
days I'll
quest
do-
for you, not this month, but next month maybe.
Yeah.
I'll challenge you to watch Ready Player One. I'm going to make a note of
I was
that.
gonna say it's gonna have to either to read it or to watch it because yeah, it's right there.
It's a good one.
Okay, so my my next one was to
Turn and cough.
make a doctor's appointment. Um,
And that's why you didn't want to do it.
and I told you I didn't want to do it, but I probably should. I mean, I'm 41 years old, and I don't think I've been to the doctor probably more than 5 years. Yeah, and I'm at that age. I'm at that age where you're supposed to go for things, and I don't want to go for. Yeah, yeah, I don't wanna, so I didn't
hope
do
not.
it. I didn't do it. However, I'm gonna bump this down and make it a March goal because I really do need to get this taken care of. It's funny. Last day of the month, I was like, because the goal wasn't to get into the doctor; it was to make the appointment. Right. Last day of the month, and I thought about it so hard, and I still missed out.
I thought about it. I thought about making a phone call. Okay, I'm going to push you on this one because I want you to stick around for a long time. But
Yeah.
0 points for
That's-
you.
That's
Good
my
news for
anxiety
me.
speaking.
It's good news for me because I'm behind in the point value.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Okay, so what was your next one?
My next one was medical related as well. I was going to donate some plasma so I could earn some more money for gaming. And I'm just going to cut to the chase with this one. I went twice to donate plasma.
Nice.
Actually, 3 times. The first time I went, there was something wrong with my social security number, which was super weird. And I had no idea why that happened. And so I had to come back with my actual social security card to prove to them I did have a social security number. Normally, when something like that happens and you waste an hour of your life driving somewhere and filling out all these forms, I'm like, this is it. I'm not coming back. But this was a goal, so I stuck with it. Well, the second time I came back, I made it past the Social Security checkpoint. Thank you. I am a citizen. And the next step is a preliminary physical. And I didn't know this, but one of the determining factors on whether you can donate or not is if your blood to plasma ratio is 55% or below, meaning if you have more than 55% of that liquid is red blood cells, then you're not hydrated enough. Because that other 45% comes from, that's the part they extract, and it comes from being hydrated and drinking lots of water. So I was at 56% or whatever it was. I was 1% off. So they sent me away. So once again, I would normally give up. But I went back a third time because third time is the charm, right? I went back. And this time I drank lots of water. For those of you who can't see me, I'm sipping on some water right now, okay? Because that's
Thanks
part
for
of
the
being
sound
fit.
effects for those.
Well, that was
those
me
listening.
actually doing it. I was just kind of emphasizing. It sounded more like I was kissing
Right.
someone, but my wife's in bed right now, so this is the only thing I'm going to be kissing. Anyway, guess what happened? You want to guess? For the last time?
No, I don't want to guess. I'm so thrown off, but go ahead.
It went up. Like I was even less hydrated. They sent me away because I was like 5% off. And so at this point, I gave up. But here's what I'm going to do, if this is okay with you. I'm going to give myself 1 point. I didn't actually donate plasma, but by darn golly, I went 3 darn times and tried.
I mean, I would give you 2 points, but I'll leave that up to you because you went 3 times. That is some serious dedication, especially for a side quest. So,
yeah, I don't know why I stuck with it. It's just because I'm behind in the point value. But I want to be honest. I want to have integrity with the system, and the system was to donate plasma, and I have not donated any plasma, so I can't give myself full points. I'll take 1 though.
Okay, yeah, well earned. My next one was clean the garage. I don't have a lengthy story to say here other than the fact that in the wintertime it gets dirty and I don't want to be outside and cleaning it. I did get it done. So that feels nice. The garage is nice and clean. I don't know how long it'll last. But yes, that is done. So Brett, what was your next one?
Well, I know you don't have a lengthy story, but I'm just curious if you have the same problem I do in the winter, where like the dirt sticks to the snow, and then when the snow melts, all the dirt washes off of the car and builds up in the garage. That's the problem I have in the winter. And I've got these huge mounds of like dirt tracks. Do you have that? Is
Yeah,
that
yes. The other issue I have is since I do eBay sales, I'll hold on to a stack of like Amazon boxes because I always need boxes. And the problem is when that snow comes into the garage and then it melts, you get water all over the floor of your garage. So I will be out there sweeping all the time the water out of the garage because otherwise it'll just soak everything that's on the ground. And I need to get the boxes up off the ground. But anyways, yeah, so that's my issues. I'm a crazy person sweeping water out of my garage.
impressive because it's been very cold and to go out in the ground. I have the piles of dirt still there for the last 2 months because it's just been too darn cold. And maybe I did want to mention this in the podcast because I don't know how many people know, but we got hit with this killer snowstorm last week, and we talked about how you don't have to commute to work. Well, they closed down school for 2 days in a row where I live because the snow was so bad. But of course, principals had to go in, so I was the only one that went in. My custodian's Kubota that we use, which is like a big 4-wheeler with a thing attached to the front that she can plow the snow, got stuck.
Right.
And I had to pull it out with my 4x4 vehicle. And then she started shoveling the rest of the snow, all the walks in the whole school by hand. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And she called her husband over, and it was like 8 o'clock at night. And so I sent a message to our community. And I just said, parents, if you have an hour and an extra shovel, could you come over? And people were digging out their own driveways, and just a really
Right.
cool story I wanted to share. 5 guys came over to our school just from the community and helped my
The burger
custodian.
joint?
The burger joint? Oh,
Five Guys?
5 guys.
Sorry,
I
that is a dad joke if ever there was one.
that was wow. Okay, yeah, you threw me off on that one, but that was a great dad joke. Yeah, no, if they had come over, that would have been even better because we needed some sustenance, and their fries are delicious. But anyway, just a real cool side note story I just wanted to share sometime during this podcast. Seemed like a natural place to bring it up, but crazy weather we've been having here. Good job cleaning your garage. Sorry, I sidetracked us. My
No,
next
and
one.
hot take, hot takes. I know this is a common debate, but In and Out is better. I'll just leave it at that. So I know a lot of people disagree, but In and Out's better.
I'm going with Tony Burgers. It's a Utah original. It beats them all. So we can, once again, hot take. We can talk about
Yeah,
that some other time. In and Out. In and Out though is kind of a California thing, and then they slowly moved a little bit west. And we talk a lot about our good friends on Married to the Games. I heard they're getting one in Tennessee. Is that right? An In and Out?
I think they said that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
That's really because it took them forever to go from California to Utah. When I was growing up, it was always the coolest thing to be able to go to California so you could eat an In and Out. And then the first one they built in Utah was way down by Vegas, nowhere near Salt Lake City, like 5 hours south. And I remember going there the weekend it opened, and this huge line for like miles trying to get in. And now they're a little more common. But anyway, if you're back east,
yeah,
we're hoping that they start to head your way because Josh is right. It's pretty tasty stuff.
it's a good burger. So, anyways,
It's not a good way to be fit, and we are Fit Dad Game Dad, so
no, it's not.
no. Okay, my next one, there's not a super story to it, but I'm planning a family reunion for the Boddens, and my goal was to send out a survey to ask all the family members how they wanted to receive communication about it. But in order to do that, I needed to collect all their emails and all their phone numbers. And in order to do that, I contacted one cousin from each of of my dad's siblings and asked them to help me. And so I was a little reliant upon them getting their information to me. And bless their hearts, they did a great job. I was able to get all that information, but I didn't actually put the survey out yet because by the time I collected all the phone numbers and coordinated with my cousins, I was just kind of burnt out. So once again, I'm asking for a little bit of grace here for maybe 1 point, because that was a lot of work to collect all those emails and phone numbers, but I didn't actually send out the survey yet. But
Yeah.
we're on track.
I'll take it. So I'll let you have a point there.
Yes. Excellent. Okay, how about you? What's your next one?
Okay, so my next one was to test, list, and sell a Spider-Man PS4 Pro that I picked up. So I've mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again. One of the ways that I pay for games that I want to buy is by flipping other games. And summertime is really busy for that. Basically spring to fall is the busy time where there's yard sales here in Utah, and that's where I find most of the stuff that I can flip. But right now, I'm really in the time of year where I don't have much of anything. So I did find this on a classified ad. However, just showing how rusty I am with eBay right now, is I decided to sell it as an auction, which I've gone away from. Just because auctions, you just don't ever know if it's going to go high or low. Sometimes it goes really high, and that's great. But auctions, you just don't have that same level of control as if you just set it as a set price, buy it now or best offer. But anyways, I sold it. I sold it at an auction. I think I made maybe $20 at the end of the day off of it, which is not what I wanted to make on it because it did sell low. But still, that happens. It's the way it goes. At the end of the day, like I said, still had $20 in my pocket that I didn't have before. So yes, I did it.
Very good, very good. Well, at least you're working out the kinks now before those big orders or those as the sales start to pick up, yard sales, and maybe you'll make more.
You got to get the rookie mistakes. Even though I've been doing this for like 7 years now, you got to get those out of the way now.
Each season, you're starting fresh, right?
Right.
All right. Good job. Good job. Good job selling that. Well, $20. That'll buy a game on discount, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's something.
All right, so for my next one, I needed your help, and thank you because you did help me a lot. I was going to have to be in charge of my daughter's basketball practice and coach one of her games, even though I'm just the assistant coach. And really, the assistant coach is a fancy way of just showing up and making sure the girls listen to the coach, but because I don't really know what I'm doing. And you're a big basketball guy. You played basketball all in high school. So you were so awesome. We started with some texting ideas, and then eventually I called you on the phone and you talked me through some different activities, and I narrowed it down to 3. I was still really nervous about it, but the practice actually went really well. And on Saturday, we won the game that I coached by the largest margin of the year.
Whoa.
We won by 7 points. I'm taking no credit for it. I'm giving all the credit to you and, of course, the girls. But it was actually a lot of fun to coach. And so thanks there, MJ or JS.
Well, truth be told, you can't give me that much credit because I coached my son's team, and we were horrible this year. so if I helped you to win, that's great because we only had 1 win the whole season. So,
well, great. Well, we tied. Well, we have the same number of wins then as a coach. I'm 1-0, and you're what?
God, I don't know.
1-10.
8 games, 1-7. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, it was a rough year.
Well, the kids have fun. But we didn't win a single game last year, so it's. As long as they're having fun, it's all good.
Yeah.
All right, what was your next side quest? Oh, so that's 2 points for me, and
yes.
2 points for you on the Spider-Man selling the PS4 Pro.
So my next side quest was to do Duolingo all but 3 days. I'm doing it for French since we are taking a trip that we mentioned last month at the end of April.
Oui, oui.
And I did it every single day. I'm on a 40-day streak. And I've been enjoying it. I know you at one point texted me and said, "Hey, you got to practice with my daughter because she takes French." I can't speak anything. I can understand, even after 40 days, I can understand some words, but there's some exercises where it's like, just pick the correct one. There's other ones where you have to hit the mic button and you have to repeat back what they say. When I have to repeat back what they say, I try and just say it as fast and as mumbly as possible that they'll accept. Because French
Let me,
is hard.
oh my gosh, French is so hard. I've never tried it, but I hear my daughters, they all three of them are in a dual immersion French program, and holy cow, it is
Yeah.
a very
It's
difficult
well, and
language.
it's hard for me because Spanish is what I took way back in high school. Spanish phonetically, you can sound things out, and you probably anyone could read most Spanish. I mean, it might sound Spanglishy, but you could read it. French, there's all these consonants and vowels that just are you just pronounce them differently. There's a lot of silent and soft. The soft letters are harder to me than the silent ones. The silent ones, it's like, okay, don't pronounce a T, whatever. But there's a lot of these really soft ones. So, yeah, I can't speak a lick of it. And I don't think I will be able to when we go over there. But that's okay. I'm just hoping to maybe understand a little bit here and there, is all.
I think that's so cool. I think you might be surprised too on what you might be able to. Maybe you could order a croissant or a taxi or something when you get over there. That'd be kind of cool.
Honestly,
Good job.
I'm planning on not speaking the entire time we're there in public.
Well, maybe it just gives you a sense of the culture a little bit too. So, I've
Yeah,
found that
yeah,
learning languages helps you be a little more immersed in the culture and understand how other people
yeah, for
think and
sure.
live. And yeah, that's cool. And when are you going again on your trip?
Yeah, we're going the end of April.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Very jealous. My wife didn't know you were going on this trip until she listened to our second episode. And I didn't tell her that you were going because I knew how jealous she would be. So I wasn't sure if I'd be in more trouble for telling her, and then she'd be like, "Why can't we go?" Or for her finding out by listening to our show. Um,
Yeah.
Either way, yeah, she's very jealous. So good job.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, it's something we've talked about for a long time, so it'll be fun.
Cool. Well, I hope the weather's not too warm in France so that you can wear your hoodie because my next goal was to deliver a Fit Dad Game Dad hoodie we had made, and there you are wearing it for our episode right now. And Janine and I brought that up to you, and we figured while we were up there, we would have a date night. And so we found online a local arcade that has retro 80 video game cabinets, and it's very near your house. In fact, I had no idea how close it was. Holy cow. It's just
Yeah,
down
it's
around the corner.
like 15 minutes maybe at most.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. You had mentioned to me that you'd been there before and wasn't quite your cup of tea because.
Well, it's not bad, but the and you can tell me if it's changed, but a lot of the arcades in there are 80s arcades. So like a lot of like Centipede and like a lot of like Atari style games, if you were to relate it console wise, where really if I'm going to play arcade games, I'd really rather play 90s arcade games, the Street Fighters, NBA Jams, Mortal Kombat, Turtles. So they just didn't really have a lot of that type of stuff. So I don't know if that was still the same experience you had, very 80s themed last time I went there.
Yes, it still had a very 80s theme, and you pay by the hour. And honestly, after 45 minutes, we were done. And it wasn't because it was crowded. It was just because those kind of games, like you said, weren't kind of the games that I really grew up loving either. Still, it was cool. I don't think I'd go back necessarily, but it's cool that we have something like that in Utah at that particular location. But I did find one game that I had never played before that was an 80s game, and it was something like Moon Blaster. I'm looking for it right now to see if I can find exactly what it was called. But I spent, of the 45 minutes we were there, it was called Moon Patrol. It was
Moon
developed, well,
Patrol.
uh, yeah, on the cabinet, it has a logo Williams. You know how sometimes the cabinets would have like I'm trying to think of some of the developers back in the day. Obviously, Nintendo with Donkey Kong was one of the original developers,
Right.
but those kinds of things. Um, I'd never heard of that developer. The game itself was like a combination of asteroids and Pitfall and like a racing car game. There was just a lot going on, but it was a ton of fun. And I spent a half hour of the 45 minutes just on that game. I got the top 5 scores on the cabinet because I loved
Nice.
it so much. So if anything, I discovered a new retro game that I didn't even know existed, and that was a lot of fun. So thanks for letting me bring up your hoodie, so that I could experience a new video game, retro video game.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you know I love retro stuff, so that's really really good to hear. I'll move on to my next one. This was a challenge you gave me,
Hmm.
and it was to only play 3 games the entire month. And
Now
I'm
let me.
laughing, but
Okay,
yeah,
I
okay,
know
go
you're
ahead, go
laughing,
ahead.
but I just got to
Set it up.
remind our listeners why this. I challenge you to do this because anytime you finish a game, and we knew we were going to finish God of War no matter what, right? And so
Yeah,
whenever that happens, I get these messages from you of, well, I ask you and you ask me, what are you going to play next? What are you? That's one of our favorite things to ask, and we love to like send texts back and forth of what do you think of this game or what do you think of this, da 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 da, And usually I settle on one, maybe two, and you settle on one, maybe two for a day. And you play it. And then next thing I know, I get
for
this
a
text
day.
of, I played this other game that wasn't even on the list. And we probably texted 10 different ideas. And then I
Right.
get this random text that like, I played this game instead and I played it for 10 hours and it was great. I'm like, that wasn't even on our list. Where did that come from? And you play that for 2 days. And then I get another game. It's just so funny to me. So my challenge was, can you really just stick to 3 games in a month? So how did that go?
Okay. Well, I have to say, I had good intentions. I really was like, I'm gonna try. Here's where it became hard. So we had God of War,
Okay,
right?
there's one. Hmm. You still
One
got two
of
more.
my gaming goal was to play Sleeping Dogs,
Okay.
which spoiler alert, because we're gonna talk about this in a second. I finished that.
Okay, there's two. You still get one
So
more.
that's 2. Now, here's where it became hard is well, I purchased Hogwarts Legacy, and that was going to be my 3rd game. The struggle was my wife's not a gamer, but she loves the world of Harry Potter. And so when I started playing it, I said, do you want me to play this without you? Or do you want to, like, she could play it with me, but she just said she wanted to watch. She said, no, I want to watch when you play. She said, please don't play it without me. Problem is, I know that means this Hogwarts Legacy is probably going to take us like a year, just because we don't have a whole lot of time that we both can just sit down, especially a long game like this. So that was my 3rd game, but I knew I was going to be playing it sporadically. So at that point, I was like, well, either I can just not play anything else for the rest of the month, but I didn't want to do that. So once game number 4 came in, then it was like the floodgates burst. So here I wrote down.
Well,
Um,
that's kind of like when you're tracking your calories and you go over by 1 calorie instead of being
yeah, and
satisfied,
you're
you're
like,
like, well, might as well eat cake and donuts, and
yeah.
you were over by one
So
game, and then what happened? How many games did you play
well,
after that?
okay. So
He laughs.
after that, I was like, well, I've been wanting to play Fire Emblem Engage, and that's a Switch game. And Switch games now, when I first got the Switch, I would play them on the TV. Now, Switch games, I pretty much play 95% handheld. And you know this about me. I like to have a handheld game and a console game at the same time. So then I was like, well, then I need a console game. So then I started playing Gotham Knights.
Need.
Yes, need. So then I started playing Gotham Knights. Then
He's still going, folks. He's still going.
then I found a classified ad where someone had NBA 2K23 for like it was $10, and they
That's
were
a good
like
deal.
2 minutes from my house, and I wasn't planning on getting 2K this year, but I found out there's this Jordan mode where you can play through all of his greatest games. So then I started playing NBA 2K a little bit on the side too. So yeah, I think I ended up with 6 games I think that's it. I might be forgetting something, but yeah, it was kind of one of those things where it's like once I knew I couldn't stick to 3, it just became chaos. So yeah,
Well, your original logic to pick up that fourth game was sound, and I would have given you 1 point had you stopped there, because yeah, of course we don't want you to not have at least a game to play, and you had completed 2 games. Great job. So, but once those floodgates came open, it was just hilarious to me that those texts came in. I'm like, and that's what happens sometimes when you set goals, right? You just set a goal that you're just not ready for it yet, or the circumstances might not lend themselves to it yet. But good job for trying.
Yeah.
We'll revisit this goal in the future.
Yeah.
No points for you on this goal. Okay. So my next one was actually one that you also gave to me. So I gave you the goal to only play 3 games, and you asked me to message Sean Capri to see if I could be a guest on We the Gamercast. And as you mentioned, I didn't have to actually be a guest. I just had to message him. I can't tell you how many times, Josh, I got up my phone, opened up Twitter, turned to the DMs, pulled up Sean, started typing a message, and deleted it. I'm very uncomfortable doing these kinds of things around people I don't know very well, and I don't engage very often in the internet gaming community like you do, and so I don't feel like I have really strong relationships with these people, and so I guess I'm just, what I'm saying is I'm really insecure about it. So, but
it's like me going to the doctor and having to drop my pants. I just don't want to do it.
Okay, so you're comparing me texting Sean Capri to dropping your pants? Okay, that was...
It's pretty much the same thing, so...
Well, now I know why Sean said no. Because I ended up messaging him, and he told me no, and it's probably because he knew you had referred me, and I was going to try and drop my pants. No, that's not what happened. What happened is Sean is taking a little bit of a hiatus right now. He didn't go into a lot of details, obviously. I don't know him super well. He was very kind, very gracious about me reaching out. He thought it was funny that you had referred me to him as a goal, right? And but he did say he's not doing Gamer to Cast for a little bit, so I'm sure the community will miss him. I've just heard nothing but good things about him, and I've listened to his show a few times, so we wish him the best. I do get my 2 points for doing what I did.
You do.
And I get off the hook because Sean's not doing the show for a while. So actually it was a win-win. So thanks for that one, Josh.
I mean, when and if the show comes back, which I think it will, I'm going to remind him that you reached out. So,
well, he has my DM. It's not like I can delete it. It's now he'll remember.
I message Sean occasionally. I've at the end of We the Gamer Cast, there's he used to have a certain clip that he would end the show on when Bobby Pauls, his friend and podcaster, when Bobby passed away, as a tribute to Bobby, he decided to put a different clip from each episode, and he opened it up to the community, and I've been sending him a bunch of clips for Bobby. And so anyway, so I guess my point is I've messaged Sean a bunch with clips and just with, hey, how's it going type thing. And once this does come back, you better believe I'm going to be like, hey, Sean, don't forget about Brett. That's all I'm saying.
Well, maybe it's good that he's taking a break, because it'll give me some time to do some more podcasting with you and get a little more experience under my belt, and then maybe I'll be a little more comfortable with him. But that's so cool about the video clips he put together for Bobby. What a cool thing.
Yeah, so it's been fun.
So that was all of our side quests from last month. And then, as everyone knows that listens to the show, we have our main quests, and there's 3 main quests that we have to do. Now, the side quests are unlimited, right? So we could do 1 or 5, and we kind of went through the ones we picked, but we have to each do 3 main quests. So how did you do on your main gaming quest?
Okay, well,
we already know how you did.
Yeah, I already spoke to this a little bit. So the goal was to finish Sleeping Dogs, and then what I wrote down, and I honestly should have went back and listened to last month's episode, but I'm pretty sure this is what it was to also get 4 hours into the next game. So yes, I did those. 4 hours into.
But did you get 4 hours into Hogwarts? Because that was technically the next game.
I would have to check the save file, but I'm like 12 hours I think into Gotham Knights. I'm 4 or 5 hours into Fire Emblem Engage. Um, Hogwarts we're right around 3 to 4. I'd have to check the save. I don't know exactly, but yeah. So if one way or another, I got 4 hours into another game, but I did finish Sleeping Dogs. Really loved it.
Yeah, you did. You raved about it. I was surprised honestly how much you liked it. I knew you'd like it, but I think you liked it more than I thought you would.
Yeah, I mean, I played the whole thing on my Steam Deck, and it's an old PS3, Xbox 360 era game. So yeah, it's not like the graphics or anything are amazing, but they're fine. But it was just kind of like a melding of like Batman, GTA, just I don't know. There's really good fighting mechanics. It had a really good open world. The story was really interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, it was a story about a cop who was undercover and everything that goes along with that. It kind of reminded me of, oh gosh, I'm going to forget the name of the movie. Donnie Brasco. If anyone's ever seen the movie Donnie Brasco, kind of had some similar vibes to that. But yeah, great game if you haven't played it, and if you're not opposed to playing, I don't know what it is, maybe a 10-year-old game, pick it up. They did put out a version on PS4 and on Xbox One where it was kind of like a HD version. I don't know that it was anything really spiced up, but maybe just shined up a little bit. But yeah, go play it if you haven't.
That's cool. I love that you go back and play some older games. They don't feel old to us. Honestly, I feel like, oh,
Yeah.
that game came out a few years ago, and then you said it was 10, and I'm like, oh my gosh, time flies when you're our age. But so cool that you were able to mix that in. And there's such great games out there that maybe people haven't explored, and I really feel like, even though I haven't played it, this is definitely one of them because I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my main gaming goal was a little more simple, but yet challenging. I wanted to play twice with all of my kids. Now, time wise, of the actual time we spend playing the game, maybe 45 minutes twice a month. But getting us all in the same room at the same time, agreeing on the same game to play, I knew twice was going to be a challenge. So I did it barely. The last day of the month is when I got the second game in. The first one we played when I had two cousins over, or I guess they're my nieces, but my kids' cousins. And I wanted to play. I've been playing. I didn't tell you this, Josh, but I've been playing Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Like you, I like to have something on handheld too. And last month I had finished Hyrule Warriors on the Switch, so I needed something new to play. But I wanted it to be something where I could just pick up and play for 5 or 10 minutes. So I've been playing Super Smash Brothers Ultimate because I didn't really play it very much when it came out, and my
Right.
only goal with that game is just to unlock all the characters. If I unlock all the characters, I feel like I've gotten my money's worth out of that game because I'm not really big into fighting games. I'm just not very good at them. But man, this one is so much fun, and I love all the different characters and the special moves they have, and all those things. So we played that because I've got three daughters and then the two nieces that were over, and then myself. All six of us could play at the same time, and that was a ton of fun, and we had a blast doing that. And then I had to do it twice, so that I counted that for the first one. The second one I wanted to do. I got this idea first of all to play this with my kids because I had long story short, I have a Wii U with a Mario Party 8 cover, like a skin protector on it, but I don't actually own Mario Party 8. And I'm like, kind of embarrassing that I have a skin to a game I don't own. And like you, I found a copy of Mario Party 8 on classifieds for super cheap the other day. Well, last month. 2 months ago actually, and I bought it and we played it as a family, and it was a lot of fun. And it's one of those 10-year-old games as well that we had a lot of fun with, and that's what got me thinking, let's play some more of these as a family. So I wanted to pick something new though for this last game, and so I sent my family three options. I'd looked up some indies that were on the Switch that might be fun. I can't remember all of them now. One of them was called Tricky Towers. because I think that's a game that was on your radar.
Right.
It's the one that
Yes.
it's like Tetris or whatever, but there's kind of a twist to it where they lean, and if you get too much on one side, the whole tower falls over or whatever. But the one they ended up choosing was Cake Bash. Have you ever heard of this game?
Never heard of it.
It's an indie. We had a lot of fun. We played it for about an hour. That's probably all I'll ever play it again. It is definitely Mario Party esque, where you're earning points and you play these little mini games against each other. But the theme is you're some sort of dessert, and each mini game you earn tokens that you return to the bakery. You're like a cupcake or a donut or whatever. You return to the bakery and you buy um, accessories to decorate, like sprinkles and chocolates and things. And then by the end of the round, the winner is the person who gets purchased first by the customer, because you're bedazzled with all of these bakery and decorations and stuff. But the little mini games you play, some of them were pretty fun. Some of them were not as fun as others. But there was definitely a few tense moments where, you know, me and my daughters were screaming at each other, "Stop hitting me!" So the word bash, it's Cake Bash. A lot of the
Right.
mini games are associated with trying to um, win by bashing in some way the other character, the other person, and stealing elements of what they're trying to do. They might be trying to move an object into the center and you can knock it out of their hands, or they might be trying to collect more bits of candy and you can whack them in the face and half of their candy falls off. So it's kind of a melee slash objective based game. We had a lot of fun with that. And so, yeah, that's what I did for my gaming goal.
Nice. Okay, I want to real quickly. I don't want to focus on this too much, but I wanted to go back and ask about Smash real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a main character that you use?
I have been, because I just started it, I only get the 10, 15 that it came with. And I focused a lot on Samus at first because I
Yeah.
really liked the screwball attack. But just recently, I have discovered I'm enjoying Simon from Castlevania. But I do, every
Yes.
time I get a new character, I try them out and at least one round and see if I like them. Um, but I'm really digging uh, Simon right now. What about
You
you?
know, well, it's funny because I can't say that I've played tons of Smash, but it's a game that my kids like too, and we kind of go through waves of whatever game I'm playing with them, and we haven't played it in a little while. But when we were kind of on a Smash kick, funny enough, I have played quite a bit with both Samus and with Simon. So
No way.
hearing you say that was really funny because it's like, huh, those are kind of the ones that I like. My kids really like. I think it's Meta Knight. I think he's from Kirby. I think they like him because he could just float and float and float, and it's really hard to get him out. But anyways, yeah, I really like. I liked Samus just because I felt like I could learn her move. Like her moves are pretty simple. It's probably not a character that like Smash Pros would use a lot. The other question I wanted to ask is, were you just using a regular controller? Because I know Smash is one of those games that people love plugging in the GameCube controller, and there's a whole community of people that actually put like notches in the joystick of GameCube controllers and are still modding them and still using them for Smash, and they say that that's the only way to play. So I was just curious if you've tried any different configure or any different controller configurations, or if you've just been using like Joy Cons or.
That is a great question, and it's fascinating to me that there is so much that goes into um, the community that's really heavily involved in Smash. And of course, there's big tournaments and professionals that play it. So clearly, the game is so deep, and I'm so skimming the surface. Um, But because I primarily play it in bed, I just use the handheld, the Joy-Cons that connect. But it drove me nuts that the jump button was further away, and so I did remap jump to be B, and I named that character profile Jump B. And so I use that a lot. But when we were playing with the nieces and the nieces and my daughters, I didn't have enough controllers, and so I'd forgotten. I bought something called, I think it's called an 8-bit dough, and it's this little wireless Bluetooth type adapter thing that you can plug a old school GameCube controller into, and then it transmits a wireless signal to your Switch. And so I tried that out because I knew people loved the GameCube controller. So I grabbed one of my old GameCube controllers, not the new ones that actually work with the Switch, and connected this to this adapter thing that I have, and it works really well. And it did feel really nice and smooth, and I can see why people like using that because of the way the button layouts are. They really lend themselves well to the different types of moves that you have. But yeah, what do you like to do?
I mean, I've done a little bit of like the Pro controller, a little bit of Joy Cons, but I really do like the GameCube controller. The only thing is, you kind of have to, you can't really be going back and forth. You kind of have to dedicate yourself to it just because the buttons are in a different place than they would be like on the Pro controller, for example. So, yeah, I like the GameCube controller, but it does throw you off at first.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah.
The only thing I didn't like about the game controller is the shield and the throwing button. Feel I don't know if it was because they were more analog or something, but they didn't feel as responsive as the triggers on a more modern controller. And so sometimes I would pull them and there would be a delay or it wouldn't read the
Well,
input.
there's definitely a farther distance you have to go with those,
Hmm.
since they are on a spring and they're kind of high up. So yeah, there is that. It is not that anyone listening to this cares about the GameCube controller mod scene, but it's one of those things that I'm fascinated by. I haven't spent money on like, and I'm not that big of a Smash player, but I haven't bought a modded GameCube controller. But I follow a lot of people on Twitter that do GameCube controller mods, and that's one of the things that you can get modded is to have either a shorter distance or to change um, just the way that that button reads, so it's not the typical analog press. But anyways, it's fascinating. That's another discussion for another time, though.
I'm curious about it now though, because that's something I would have never known existed. I don't get into the interwebs as deep as you sometimes. So do send me some of those links. I'm super curious now about the whole modding. That there's a whole community just to modding a controller. That's fascinating. I love
Yeah.
that
Oh,
people are
and
that
there,
intense about something.
yes. And these controllers can be sold for anywhere from low end would be like 200, high end would be like $600,
Wow.
depending on all the stuff that they put in them. But Rocker Gaming, his YouTube channel is amazing, and that's one of the things he focuses on. So yeah, I'll send you some links later.
Cool. Can't wait. Okay, so that was our main quest. We both nailed it and got 2 points. The next main quest is a fitness goal. Now we're getting into the Fit Dad version. We've talked a lot about Game Dad. Let's get into the real meat and potatoes here, the fitness and eating goal. Why don't we do both of them at the same time? Tell me about your fitness and your eating goal.
Okay, so my fitness goal for last month was a little tiered. I wanted to do 30 minutes of exercise 10 times in the month and 15 minutes of exercise minimum, also 10 times. So basically, 20 days of exercise out of the 28 days in February. And I wanted to make sure that I was at least getting 15 minutes, but then also at least 10 times getting 30 minutes. I did that. Actually, had more that were on the 30-minute side than that were on the 15-minute side. So I felt good about that. Anytime there's a fitness goal, even though I, met it, surpassed it, you still naturally get on yourself and feel like you could do better. Especially like the few days where I didn't do any exercise. I was like, I should have done something. Or there are a couple days um, where I do like just under one of those tiers. And I was like, why didn't I just do a few, like especially at the end of the month when I already met the goal.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I did it. And I overall feel good about it. The eating goal was to log daily and to be under my calories 85% of the time. I was under like 85.6. I think I did the math like it. So yeah. Um, and I logged every single last thing I ate this month. And sometimes it's
Wow.
tedious, right? Like,
Oh, totally. That's why
especially,
I'm impressed.
especially, especially if you have like a cheat day where you just know like, hey, like today I'm not, I need a break, whatever. And if you have one of those days are the hardest because you have to be honest with yourself and be like, oh crap, you know really ate a lot. So um but yeah, I did that. The other thing, it wasn't technically a goal. I mentioned it was something that I was aiming for, but I wasn't gonna hold myself accountable for it. Was I wanted to get down to 246 pounds, and I'll say I did not make that. I don't feel bad about it just because weight is funny, right? Like you can do all the things that should be right, and it doesn't always, uh, you know, lose as fast as you might like. The first month I reported losing 16 pounds. This month, um, I'm not really excited to say this, but this month it was technically 4 pounds. So I've gone down 20 pounds in 2 months, which still is great, and I'm really happy about that. And maybe this is going to sound like excuse making, but I just kind of want to just kind of share what I'm doing. I am weighing myself daily, and you probably shouldn't do that. It's really not what I would recommend because you're going to see ebbs and flows. You're going to see your weight fluctuate. But I told myself, at the end of the month, whatever that weight is what I'll record. So I got to back up. At the end of January, I recorded at under 16 pounds. The next day, my body weight fluctuated up 2.5 pounds. So probably January was probably more 13 and a half, 14 pounds, something like that, which would make this month a little bit better too. And then also the very, first, or what was it, the second day of March, because I'll weigh myself the first day and that's where I'll record. The very next day after I had marked down, okay, I lost 4 pounds for the month, I, recorded actually losing more, and I've been at that weight. So, it is what it is. It's, numbers, whatever. But really 20 pounds, 2 months, however you dice it, slice it. I'm really happy with that. It's not going to be that fast. Yeah, going forward, it only kind of slows down the more you go. So I would have liked to have lost more, but I'm happy with the progress I've made.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that whole journey because there's so much to unpack there, and I don't want to take a lot of time to do it. But something we've mentioned on the show before is we're definitely not focused on the numbers and the weight loss, and it's not
Right.
being fit and healthy is definitely not about the weight loss. But it does feel good to lose weight, and there's so many different things that factor in as far as one day fluctuating or hitting a wall as far as that goes. But overall, how are you feeling in your body right now?
Yeah, I'll say that I'm feeling a lot better. Um, and one of the things, sometimes there's some outward things that kind of I have to use as reminders. Some of them are kind of silly, but like my watch, I've had to pull it one notch tighter. And I think,
Hmm.
okay, cool. That's obviously a sign of shedding some excess weight. My belt has got tighter. This shirt that I'm wearing, I haven't worn this in a long time because it is one size smaller. So there's things like that I kind of have to use as reminders because I naturally feel like I want to get to the certain point and I want to get there really fast. But I also have to remind myself, hey, I'm having more energy. I'm feeling better. I'm making healthier choices. I'm doing all these things that are right. And I just need to be patient with myself because it is a journey. But I also have to remind myself to enjoy the journey, to enjoy where I'm at, and yeah, maybe it's not my ultimate goal. But I've made a lot of progress. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I really am.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing about the watch and the shirt because those are ways you can measure success, and maybe more qualitatively than quantitatively. But either sources of data can be a measurement tool, and I think that's really what it's about is having that energy too. So just I'm super proud of you. Way to go. I'm a little bit jealous because you're experiencing what I experienced last summer, which is the added energy, the shirts and things fitting better, and the numbers going down. And what I'm experiencing right now is the quantitative stuff is not there. My numbers are not looking pretty at all. And there's lots of reasons for it, mostly stress. Tons of stress in my job right now. The two busiest months for me and my work are November and March. But you can feel it coming in February, right? As I'm gearing up for March, and I've had a few extra things on my plate, and so I've just I met my two goals, and congratulations, you met your two goals. So you got your 4 points for your eating and your fitness goal. I also achieved mine, but mine weren't as detailed as yours, and I think hindsight's 2020. I think maybe my goals were probably not what I needed last month for where I was with my stress levels. So I'm going to modify things for next month. But let me just quickly tell you what I did. My goal is to exercise 18 times. And my wife actually commented on your goals when she listened to our podcast. She loved how you broke it down into, 10 times it had to be 30 minutes and 10 times it had to be 15 minutes. She thought that was she'd never heard of anyone set a exercise goal quite like that, where it gives you a little bit of wiggle room with your exercising, but it also sets some parameters, because mine, there's no parameters. 18 times, what, 5 minutes, 60 minutes, 30, 15, whatever, right? Now, all of mine were over 30. Most of them were around the 60 range. And I was able to do last month 16 in January. So I set 18 in February, thinking two more in a shorter month would be pretty darn good. And I ended up doing actually
Right.
19 days of exercise.
Nice.
So yeah. And one of the ways that I haven't had a lot of quantitative success, but what I've really been enjoying doing is some at-home strength training. I'm not looking to bulk up or anything like that. Just to move better and not expose myself to injury because don't have the muscle that I need to do the daily things I need to do. So that's my goal, right? But the one thing I have noticed is although my weight's gone up a little bit, I do feel stronger. I am seeing the amount of weight and reps and things that I'm able to do and increase, and I'm not getting as tired when I exercise. So that's been a win for me. Even though the intensity of my exercises probably need to go up and the specificity of my exercises probably need to go up if I want to see those numbers drop as far as weight loss. But I'm battling the stress end, and so it seems like a good compromise. And then as far as my eating goal, I chose to intermittent fast because I had a lot of success with that in the summer, and it helped me get over a plateau where I had lost, like you, I'd lost a lot of weight at first and then hit this plateau, and intermittent fasting helped me get past that plateau. And I've met another plateau right now, but it's for a different reason. It's the stress. And so the intermittent fasting didn't really help. I did it, and my goal was to do it every day except for 2 cheat days, which I did. I fasted for 16 hours every day. So I usually didn't have lunch or my first meal until about 1 o'clock, and didn't
Yeah,
eat
that's
anything
really
in the
impressive.
morning. But the problem was, because I had the stress and I was holding off eating, Um, at work I was fine, but when I got home I was so hungry that I binged on a lot of junk food, a lot of junk food, and that's one of the reasons my numbers have gone up a little bit. I just have not been making good choices when those hunger cravings came. I actually thought fasting would help me control the hunger cravings because it would help me um, just recognize that, okay, I don't need to eat a lot of food to have energy, and maybe those cravings would go away because I'm like mastering my ability to say no. But it turns out that I mastered the ability to say no to food for a few hours, but then when food was on the table, I had no control anymore about what I put in my mouth. So the 6 or the 8 hours that I had to eat were very unstructured and full of a lot of bad choices. So anyway, I'm giving I did my goal, but I just need to be more specific about it.
That's interesting that you said that because I haven't been doing intermittent fasting. However, there have been a lot of times where I've been trying to stretch out and have like a later breakfast. And I find that if I can have a later breakfast, then it's easier for me to make it to lunch without having a snack. However, I've also noticed, and this is just me, I've noticed with myself that then that time between lunch and dinner, if I don't have at least a small snack, then I kind of get like you where I get over hungry and then it's easier to struggle with things. And so it almost seems counterintuitive to say like, hey, eat something so that you don't, overeat. But there is something to be said though about, I guess your mind you want to tell yourself like, hey, the longer you can go without food, the better. And, I'm not saying intermittent fasting is bad. I actually think there's a lot of benefits to it, but I think there's also a certain point where just that natural desire to eat, just that animalistic, desire kicks in.
Are you
And
calling
that's
me
one
an
of the things
animal?
that
Because I
well,
felt like one.
that's one of the things that I've been really having to notice with myself is that I have to allow myself, I have to build in, a snack, whether it's, something generally, hopefully something small, but something to kind of tide me over, especially between lunch and dinner. And then sometimes even, after dinner. I'm trying to be better about like the late night eating type stuff. But I'm trying to monitor my calories so that I can make sure that I have, a little snack between lunch and dinner and a little snack after dinner. Mm-hmm. So that tends to work for me. Mileage may vary, but yeah, for me, that's been kind of helpful. So it's curious hearing you talk about the struggles with intermittent fasting that you've had and just, getting those cravings. So yeah, definitely understandable.
Yeah, well, and what you do is more common because it is more accessible and is more balanced, and fasting is kind of a little more of an extreme thing, and it's had its benefits, and it does have its benefits. But I would recommend you do some research if that's something you want to do. Okay, so in summary, we've gotten through all of our goals from last month, and you earned a total. You ready, Josh? For
Let's hear it.
16 points. Nice job.
Nice.
Now, especially the first month we did this in January, you earned 9 points. So almost double, right, in 1 month.
Okay.
That brings you to a grand total of 25 points, and you have leveled up, my friend, to level 5. Congratulations.
Yes. Nice. I will take it. Yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Level 5. Very, very good. Now, on my skill tree, I actually earned more points than you in February. I earned 18 points. Now, I was behind because I had only earned 6 points the month before. So I'm catching up, but guess what? Here's what happened, and I'm actually glad it happened this way. I have a grand total of 24 points. So I'm actually only 1 point behind now, but I'm still an entire level behind you because you can only level up every 5 points. So I am level 4 after 2 months of skill tree action. So congratulations, you're in the lead, level 5, and I'm right behind you at level 4. All right,
Nice.
so yeah, that was fun. That was fun. It definitely
well-
is motivating, right? To know that we're earning points and trying to beat each other as far as leveling up goes.
Well, and the accountability is probably the most, whether it's entertaining or not, I don't know, and honestly don't care, because it's just so important to us. When I know that I have to account for my whole month, it really helps keep me in line. But Brett, enough of this. Let's lighten the mood and let's get into the mini game.
All right, Josh, tonight's game is Name That Game. We each have 3 sound bites from various video games, and based off the sound bite, we need to guess what game it is from. And remember, the winner of the minigame gets 2 points toward their skill tree. So, this will be fun, Josh. We are going to do multiple choice, right?
Yes.
Like we did last
Yes.
time?
We don't want to make it too hard, so yes, multiple choice.
Okay, very good. Now, you and I talked about doing this game and maybe weren't quite clear with the expectations. So my sounds honestly might be a little more difficult than your sounds. Maybe
That's okay.
I'll totally fail at this. So I actually have some hints for you in case you need them, because I think maybe I picked sounds that were too hard. Well, let's see. Let's get into it and see.
Okay.
Why don't we start with you, because I'm hoping yours are easier than mine. And here we go.
This first one, I'll just say you're probably going to recognize it, but that's okay. Just wait till you hear the options.
Okay, well,
So-
audience members can play along too. They might not recognize it as quickly or maybe more quickly than me. So play along with us.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, I think I know what it's from, but do you want to give me... Oh, wait. I'm still listening. Okay.
So, there are 3 choices, and you're probably going to feel confident right now, but
Now
here
you-
are the choices.
Okay.
Is this the soundtrack to Halo 1 Combat Evolved, Halo 2,
Now I see what you're doing. Okay.
or Halo 3?
Oh, you dirt. You are kind of tricky at this game. Just like the last game. Yeah, I'm thinking in my head, it's Halo. Well, duh. There's lots of different Halos. Okay. Wow. Well, now that I know that, I think I need to hear it one more time.
Okay, here we go.
Which Halo? 1, 2, or 3? Okay, there's that little thing at the end with the guitar. Is that part of it?
Yes, it is. Keep talking. Sorry.
Okay. I do not remember a guitar like that being in Halo 1. That theme is definitely, the first part of it could fit in Halo 1, 2, or 3. I am going to guess, just because of the guitar at the end, it is not 1. And I don't know if it's 2 or 3, though. It's 50-50 for me. I'm going to go ahead and say 3.
It is Halo 2.
Oh, yeah. I knew I had a 50-50 shot with that, so.
Sorry, that was so dirty.
That's good.
But it just cracked me up that because they are slightly different. But yeah, that is Halo 2.
Yeah, well, good. I liked how you did that. That was fun. Okay, Here is my sound effect. Now, it's probably. I'm going to go ahead and just give you my hints for all of them, okay? I'm not even going to ask if you want the hint because you kind of went with more of a soundtrack, and I actually picked some of mine are actually just teeny tiny little sound bites that happen during gameplay. So this is a sound that happens during a game from the Nintendo Entertainment System, and this is the game that I played the most with my sisters. So
Okay.
here's the sound effect. I'll give you another hint. That's the sound effect that happens when you die.
Okay.
Here it is
Yeah,
again.
sounds.
I got to give you the choices. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, it sounds familiar, but then so many of the sounds from that era sound the same, anyways. But yeah, what are the choices?
Okay, choices are number 1, Duck Hunt. Number 2, Marble Madness. Number 3, Yoshi's Cookie. They're all NES games. This is a NES game.
Yeah, I've never played Yoshi's Cookie. That to me sounds like Marble Madness. I don't think it's Duck Hunt. I'm gonna say Marble Madness.
You are correct. Great job. Yeah, we played the mess out of that
know
with my
because-
sister.
Yeah, I was gonna say I recognize it because I died a lot in Marble Madness. That game was incredibly hard to control.
So hard. And that's why I picked that sound, because anyone who's played that game probably heard that death sound one too many times, or 10 too many times, or 100 too many times. All right, Josh, what's you're ahead 1-0. What's your second sound?
Okay, so I'm gonna prep this by saying that this sound is not the main theme to a game, but it is a song that is played in a game. So here we go. Okay, so is this sound from Mario Party 6, Mario Party Superstars, or The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword?
I don't remember it being in Skyward Sword, so I'm going to eliminate that one. Mario Party 6 was my other choice, and Mario All-Stars?
Superstars.
Is that the one that has Mario 1, 2, and 3, or something like that? All packaged in?
And maybe I named it wrong, but Superstars, if that's the one that I'm thinking of, sorry, was the new one on Switch. So maybe it's not Super. Is that what it's called? I think it's called Superstars.
No. The new one, this like Odyssey?
Or Party Stars.
Party Stars.
The Switch one, whatever the latest Switch one.
Well, so the latest Switch one that's an advent. I mean, there's a million Mario games on the Switch, but they're like Mario Golf and Mario.
It's Mario Party.
Origami. It's the Mario Party one. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's called Mario Party Superstars. I think.
Okay. I know, and that takes like a lot of the games from all the previous Mario All-Star or Mario Party games, right?
Yes.
Puts them in. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to go with that one. I haven't played it, but just because there's so many games, I'm guessing maybe that sound was from there.
Okay. Well, you're wrong.
It's probably Skyward Sword, right?
It is Skyward Sword.
I do
It
not
is-
remember that from Skyward Sword.
Honestly, I thought that you might have got this. It's the shop, the bazaar, whatever it's called. Is that how you say it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I put in 2 Mario parties because I was like, they kind of have similar sounds, but yeah, that is when you go to the shop to buy supplies. That is the music that is played. So
Man.
I was hoping that one. I knew Halo was going to be a dirty trick. I was hoping this one might have been a little easier, so I apologize.
No. If I had just thought differently, it would have been easier if I would have realized, well, Mario parties, there's so much going on. He probably threw me a bone and gave me just the Zelda one. I did think that. I did think it was either one of that was possible. I did start replaying that on the HD remastered version. Sorry, I just whacked my mic and made a big sound. And I must have not gotten to the bazaar yet. But
Yeah.
Zelda has so much great sound effects and music, right? The whole series. Um, my favorite, probably one of my favorite musical moments is from Skyward Sword. And it's not that one. I'm going to say this wrong. It's either Fi or Fi's theme, and I can't even remember what character that is. But I always fall asleep to music. I have like 6 different playlists that I might turn on, and my favorite playlist for sleeping is the one that has that particular song from Skyward Sword on it. Is so beautiful and so relaxing. And anyway, so I should have known. I should have known. I should have known. Good job.
Sorry.
Okay, my second sound effect here. I got to preface this with 2 things. One, there are 6 or 7 of them because they're all less than a second long. They are noises that a particular character makes. And I had to put all of them in because if I just played 1 or 2, you wouldn't get it. But I thought if you heard
Okay.
them all in a row. And what you need to know about this game is it's from the GameCube, and it just so happens to be the very first game I ever beat on the GameCube. So I'm going to play them in a row. Here's the first one. And those last 2 are probably the ones that are most recognizable by this character. It is an enemy character. Let me play the last 2 one more time. And here are your choices: The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, Star Fox Adventures, or Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door.
Okay, I've never played Paper Mario. Um, to me, this sounds like Star Fox. Um, but I haven't played Star Fox Adventures. But I'm still gonna go Star Fox. Yeah.
Good guess. It does sound like a character from Star Fox, but it is actually The Wind Waker. And I put this one in there because I knew your son was playing The Wind Waker, and I thought maybe you would have heard this recently.
Dang it.
And I can't remember what character it is. It's just one of the big guys that carries around the club. But I
Yeah.
remember the very first mission, you're like infiltrating kind of a fort. And if you get, and you have to like
Yes.
stay hidden. And if they
The
discover you,
spotlights are coming.
yeah, he makes that little sound like, ooh, 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 like, ooh, I saw you or something like that. And I just remember that sound being like freaking me out because I'm like, oh crap,
Yeah.
he saw me.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, you know what's funny is I thought, I bet he does something Zelda. And then I started listening to those and it almost sounded like a dog. And then so I started thinking like animal. And then I'm like, maybe Star. So I felt pretty confident Star Fox. But yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, sorry, that was definitely harder, but at least that helps us me still have a chance. So what would need to happen is if I get this right, you've scored 1 point and I've scored 0. So if I get this one right, we'll be tied.
Right.
Okay, so let's see if I can at least tie this up. What's your third sound?
Okay. So this one is not a soundtrack. I'll tell you that much. It is just a sound in the game. And we'll see how you do with it. Let me play it again.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear it very well. Okay.
Okay.
So here are your options.
Are you going to give it away?
No, I'll tell you. I'll tell you why I'm laughing after you guess. I don't want to say anything now. Your options are Uncharted, Tomb Raider, or Lego Indiana Jones.
You know what? I can't wait to tell me why you're laughing, because I'm laughing for a whole nother reason, and which you'll find out in a minute. Oh my gosh, I couldn't hear the sound that well, to be honest. Um, Maybe one more time. Maybe turn up the volume. Let me hear it one more time.
Okay. It's all the way turned up, but yeah, I'll
Okay.
do the best I can to lean into it.
Okay. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I know you just replayed recently. Oh, this is your 7th game. You replayed Lara Croft's Tomb Raider recently on the Switch, or not on the Switch, on your Steam Deck. Remember earlier when I told you you could only play 3 games and you named 6, and you're like, I think I played another one. Didn't you play that recently?
Yeah, was that this last month or was that?
Yes, it was this last month. It was.
Yeah, I played Tomb Raider. Yep.
So I'm
Can
gonna
be that.
guess. I'm gonna guess Tomb Raider because I think it was on your mind.
Okay, good guess.
Oh crap!
Wrong.
Oh my gosh!
So-
0 for 3. Oh, I suck.
This is the death sound from Uncharted 1.
Oh
you
my
die,
gosh!
that is
really?
what is played. However, I was laughing because when I was looking down at my list, I only had 2 options there. So the third one I just had to make up on the fly. So that's why I was hesitating. So I was like, crap, I got to think of something else. Because all I had was Uncharted and Tomb Raider. But yeah, that is the death sound from Tomb Raider.
That's great. Okay, here's why I was laughing. I'm gonna give you the choices. You've already won. Okay, it's mathematically. So you've won. So I'm gonna give you the choices before I even play the sound, because here's what's so funny about my last question. Your first choice, and I haven't played the sound yet, is Uncharted 2. Your second choice is Tomb Raider,
Tomb Raider.
which those were the first 2 choices for your last question. And I was worried you were going to say the third choice, which mine happens to be Far Cry 4, and you didn't. But it's so funny that you didn't have one, because maybe you would have said that, and then we would have had the exact same choices.
The way that we think alike, it probably would have been, and Far Cry would have been a good pick for this. So,
All right, so I'm going to play the sound effect now. The hint is this is the first game I got a platinum trophy for. Here is the sound.
and honestly, I'm not positive, but I think it's Far Cry. Gosh. Let's see. Tomb Raider. I'm trying to remember if you platinumed that or not. I don't know if you did because it had all the multiplayer stuff. Uncharted, I wouldn't be shocked if you platinumed all 3 of these, but that sounds to me like Far Cry, but I'm not positive.
You are much better at this game. Yes, it is Far Cry 4. That is the sound when you liberate a base. And I just loved that sound. And I loved one of the reasons I platinumed this game, because it was so satisfying to liberate a base without setting off any alarms and without being what do you call it, noticed or something like that, doing it all
Right.
stealthily, and the screen would turn pink and that sound would come on. There'd be this big thump sound, like, yeah, you did it. And yeah,
Gosh, I loved going in there. My problem would be is I would take all this time to be really cautious, and you make one mistake, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, guns a-blazing now. So you'll like crawl, move around for 20 minutes, barely moving an inch at a time. And then next thing you know, you're just you're blowing people away. You're calling in the elephant or whatever to trample everyone.
Well, I had such a great time in Far Cry 4 being stealthy that I think, and that's one of the reasons I got the platinum, is I was able to do so many stealthily. I could not do that in Far Cry 6, and I loved Far Cry 6, and I played that. But I think there was only one base I liberated stealthily. Either the game was a lot harder or I'm getting older and not good at it, but I did what you did. I went guns a-blazing in Far Cry 6 almost all the time.
I haven't played 6 yet. I have it back here. I played through 5, and I played through what was the one that came after 5? New Dawn.
New Dawn, yeah.
Yeah, and gosh, those are great games. But yeah, 6 is back here in my backlog, and hopefully I can get to that soon because I love Far Cry.
I love you introduced me to the Far Cry series. And in fact, I should have put this as your hint. I think Far Cry 4 was the first game you and I played in co-op mode together.
Well, speaking of co-op, Brett, the mini game has ended. That was a lot of fun, but let's jump over into co-op.
All right. All right. Yes, I'm so excited to set a co-op goal with you, Josh. I did want to mention real quick. Sorry to backtrack a little bit. We already had our intro music and everything, but you did get 2 more points for totally kicking my butt at that mini game, and so now you are up to 27 points and
Nice.
well on your way to level 6, and I'm still way far behind on level 4. So nice job. But now is the time to set goals so we can earn points next time. So I've got to set some really good goals here. Let's start with our co-op goal. What is it, Josh?
Okay. Well, last time it took us 2 months to get through God of War. So this month, our co-op is actually one that we're going to play together, and that is Gotham Knights. And the goal, we're just going to keep this nice and easy, is to play it twice together. Now, a lot of people might say, oh, playing twice together, that sounds like really simple. But finding time where our schedules can align, and a lot of times that's late at night, and it's going to have to probably be a weekend. That can be difficult. So the goal, we're just, like I said, keep it nice and simple. Gotham Knights, play it twice. It's a game that I'm playing right now and really loving it. So I'm looking forward to jumping into that.
Well, it's a game you got me for Christmas, and I was actually not surprised to get a game from you, obviously, but surprised it was Gotham Knights because it was one that, when it was first revealed at E3 or whenever it was revealed, you were really excited about, and both you and I love the Batman Arkham games, and it seemed like at first this game was going to be kind of in that vein, and then as time went on and we got more information about this game, and after it came out, we started hearing some things about it being buggy and maybe not being as good as we had originally thought, and so it kind of fell off yours and I's radar, and I didn't realize you were still interested in it until I opened my Christmas gift, and I was like, oh, that's great, you still want to play this game? So tell me what reinvigorated your interest in this game.
Yeah, so Gotham Knights is funny because when I first heard about it, I was really excited to have another Batman-esque game. I love all the Arkham games. However, when I saw I think it was like an IGN first look, it didn't look that exciting to me. And it kind of turned me off. And at that point, I was kind of just like, no, maybe, unless I hear great reviews, I'll pass. Then the reviews came out and they were pretty mediocre. They weren't horrible, but it was kind of like the definition of a mediocre game. And so, yeah, I was just kind of fell off my radar. But then if you know me, all it takes is one person to be like, this game is great. And I'm like, cool, I got to play it. And I started seeing a handful of people on Twitter saying, this game's actually pretty dang good. Like Patrick Novosel for one, I think Mark Boucher. There were others, but I just saw people that were tweeting things that said that they really enjoyed their time with it. So I started looking into it more, and with it being a co-op game, which I didn't even know at the beginning that it was set up as a co-op game. I just knew it was a Batman type game. So then I was like, you know what? It's kind of cheaper now. I think I got it for basically half price, maybe even less. So I figured, let's grab it. We'll both try it. And I've been playing it this month. And at first, I kind of felt like, yeah, it's okay. The controls have a little bit of clunkiness in them. It's not bad, But once you kind of really get a feel, because the controls are totally different than another Batman game, but once you kind of get a feel for it, the story is really, really good. I'm really digging it, and the level design is great. There's a lot of times where you're just in the city beating up bad guys, and that part is fine. But once you get into the actual main missions, it's just a different beast. So I'm excited for you because I think you've just kind of tried it a little bit, but I'm excited for you to play it. And I did find out with the co-op that even though I'm ahead of you, either you can join in my game, and if you play a mission with me, you'll still get credit for it and you wouldn't have to redo it. Or if I jump back, which I think probably would be the better thing because I don't want you to jump ahead a few missions. If I jump back, I'd still get XP. So
nice.
Anyways,
That's a good way to do co-op because we've played some other games where you don't get any incentive unless you're playing in your game. So, and I'm loving that you're loving it so much. And I actually did start it before you. And the one thing I did notice, I am not very far at all, but I think I told you because you kept texting me. You were really excited to hear my first impressions because I got a head start on it. And like always, you passed me up. But I said, well, I'm still watching cutscenes 2 hours later. I'm exaggerating, of course, but lots of cutscenes at the beginning. And it sounds like later on as well, and that lends itself to the element you're liking, which is the story. And I did like how they set up the game for sure. And then I played maybe the tutorial mission and one mission after that. I did like that you get to choose the different characters, and I chose Batgirl, and I think I'll stick with her for a little while. She's a lot of fun. And you chose, remind me who you chose?
I chose Nightwing. Now,
okay.
I'm tempted in playing co-op with you to try out a different character, but I think I'd probably just stick with Nightwing and build up the XP. The other thing I was going to say is really my biggest gripe, if you want to call it that, but I'm kind of past it, is the traversal. You know, Batman games and then Spider-Man games too, they both do a really good job of the way that you move through the city, whether it's Gotham or whether it's New York. Especially Spider-Man does such a great job, and that can kind of spoil you to where the traversal in here isn't nearly as good. But if you can get over that hump, and it might just be my character, it might just be Nightwing. Batgirl might fly around, might be great. Nightwing doesn't fly, so everything with him is like either zip lining or hopping on the motorcycle. Now, I've unlocked fast travel points, so a lot of that is kind of mitigated at this point where I'm at. But that would be kind of if you can get past that initially and realize that, you know, unlock fast travel or maybe a different character would be better. But once you get past that, there's really a good game there. So, yeah, I'm excited for this.
This will be fun. We haven't played a game together, a true co-op game online in quite some time. So this is going to be a blast.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thanks for the Christmas gift.
Yeah, and, you know, like I said, we're keeping it easy. We're just going to try and play 2 times together. We don't have to beat it or anything like that. You know, personally, it's going to be a game that I will finish, and I hope you like it too. I don't know, but I hope you do. So, anyways, that is our co-op goal. But now, Brett, it is time for the grind. Let's dive into our side missions. Okay, and side missions, as we've said before, you can have as many or as little as you want. These are just things you can do to get some extra XP. I will start off with my first one and then pass it over to you. And this is kind of a funny one, but my first one is to figure out how to install Red Dead Redemption 2 on my Steam Deck. Now...
Okay, I just got to say something here. I didn't even know this was a problem with the Steam Deck, and I shouldn't call it a problem. I guess I don't know anything about PC gaming, and I guess this is normal for PC gamers to have to configure the game so that it runs the best for their system, because each system's different. But when you told me that you spent hours just trying to get the game to work, and not Red Dead, there was another game, right? I was like, oh, I wanted a Steam Deck until you told me that. I'm like, I don't have time for that crap. So tell me what's happening
Yeah.
with Red Dead. Why
Well,
can't
okay,
you
so
play it right now?
yeah, when I first got the Steam Deck, my first impression was the first game I was going to play was Assassin's Creed Origins, which I did play and which I really did enjoy. However, it took me almost 2 full days of troubleshooting to get it to work because
Not
and
worth it.
it's more a me issue. I'm not a PC gamer. I'm not used to, patches and all these things that you have to, drivers and different ways to install them, whatever. And then Steam Deck is even an added beast because it's a portable machine. You don't have a keyboard, you can attach things. But anyways, Red Dead 2, I bought it off of a site. I think it's called Green Man Gaming. I think it was on sale. It's a game that I know works on the Steam Deck. However, as I've looked into it some more, there's 2 different versions. One for sure works. The other version was the one I got, which I didn't know. And I've heard mixed things of whether it can or cannot be installed and played on the Steam Deck. So I might have just threw away, I don't know what I got it for, like $20. I mean, I already have this game. I've already beat it. It's one of my all-time favorite games. But the appeal of playing it in handheld is why I got it. I'm probably not going to have time to even play it this next month because I already told you all these other games I'm playing. But I just want to see because I've already downloaded it onto my deck. I just can't get it to play. So really it's how to configure it properly, if that's even possible. I might come back next month and say like, no, I got the wrong version. It won't run. Because I've already been diving into like Reddit posts on different ways that you try and configure it and different ways that you get into the code and change things. I'm like, it's complex. It's probably over my head, but I'm going to try and figure out how to salvage this and get it playing on my Steam Deck.
Well, I hope for your $20 you can, but if you've backed yourself into a corner and bought a game that just simply doesn't work, I could use the fact that you won't be earning points so I can catch up. So good luck, though. I don't want you out $20.
Thank you.
All right, my first side quest is to play Luigi's Mansion 3 with my daughter Ruby 4 times this month. Real quick backstory here. Her mom, of course my wife, and my 2 oldest kids went on a Pioneer Trek. Maybe in July we can talk what the heck that is for those of you who are not familiar with some of the cultural and religious happenings of Utah. But there's these campouts basically where kids go and recreate the crossing of the Midwest and West of the pioneers as they is it emigrated. One of them means coming from across the seas. One of them means coming across the country to Utah from,
Right.
of all places, Illinois, which is where you're from, right? So
Right.
I don't. The point is that we were home alone, and so we had to find some stuff to do, just me and my daughter, and we picked up Luigi's Mansion 3. Now, this was last July. We got, I want to say, maybe a third of the way through the game, and we were having a blast, but then school started and just totally forgot about it. And the other day we picked it up, and I was like, this is so much fun. Why aren't we playing this game more? And so we played a level the other night, and I'm like, I want to finish this game. We're making some good progress in it. Now, no spoilers, but you're in a mansion, obviously, Luigi's Mansion, and you have an elevator, and basically each level is a level. Literally, each level of the hotel / mansion is a different world, so to speak, that you have to beat. And I think we're on level 7 or 8, and it looks like there's enough buttons in the elevator that we maybe need to do 8 more or something. So we're pretty close to halfway. So I figure if we play 4 times this month, we'll get pretty close to finishing off that game. But I didn't want to like commit to finishing it just because it's hard to find time to game during the school year. But super fun game if you haven't played it. I played the other 2 Luigi's Mansions. I never finished either of them. This one, in my opinion, is so much more fun. And it's just beautiful and quirky and really funny. And God, it's a phenomenal game. So I've got to finish it because I want to see. It's so creative. I just want to see what they're going to come up with next.
Yeah, Dark Moon on the 3DS is the only one that I've played, and I got quite a bit into it a number of years ago, put it down. I'd like to get back to it. Now, my son loves Luigi's Mansion 3. My son Sam, he's actually been replaying it. Gosh, I think he's beat that game like 3 times. So yeah, that's one that it might be. I might copy this, not this month, but I might copy it to play it with Sam down the road because yeah, he loves it, and I think he already knows all the ins and outs. So if I got stuck, he'd probably just be like, "Here, go here, Dad."
Fun.
Okay, so my next side quest is my wife's birthday is this month, and I need to figure out a gift for her.
Oh,
She is tough to shop for.
yeah. Most wives are. Good luck.
Yeah, I never know. So I've already been texting friends of hers and like, give me ideas, and so yeah, I I feel like the lowest hanging fruit is always like, here's a gift card to go get a massage or something like that. So I've been trying to the last, couple Christmases and birthdays to not just do the same boring thing. So yeah, so that's one of the things I'm going to be working on here this week. So yes, I better be able to report that I got points for this, but it is to figure out a gift.
This one you better do, or
Yes.
you're going to be in big trouble. So that's pretty much a guaranteed 2 points. But maybe I'd give you a bonus point if she likes it. Maybe you can even earn 3 points.
Yeah,
No, what we
you
should
never
say is 1 point if you get it, and 2 if she likes it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, my next one was going to be my last side mission. I mentioned March is one of my busiest months at work, and so this next one is also kind of it has to happen. You have to give your wife a birthday gift. Well, long story, and I'm not going to go into the whole story right now. Am helping a friend. He's directing a musical for a local community theater, and he needs some help with the music direction. And I've done that for him in the past. We did a show last summer together called Rock of Ages. Super fun. It's a Broadway musical, but it's a story that incorporates 80s rock music into the story. And so it's a lot of cover songs. So I helped him teach the actors how to sing these songs. Well, this particular show he's doing is way more complicated than 80s rock songs. It is written by someone who is considered one of the greatest playwrights and really a musical genius of the 20th century. Passed away not too long ago, I think just a year or so ago. His name is Stephen Sondheim. The show is called Company. It's very complicated music, and the actors are brilliant and very, very talented. But one thing they've asked me to do is to basically build some minus tracks for them. The company that we bought the rights to the musical from comes with an app where the actors can listen to the soundtrack, but it doesn't have all of the parts. And so what they like me to do a lot of times is play on the piano their actual notes on top of the music so that they can memorize their notes. And I really need to do that for them, or they are not going to be able to learn their notes. So it has to happen because the show must go on, right? As they say in the theater. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to record all these tracks for these lovely, amazing actors, and then maybe convince you to come see the show. Although that could be a side quest. I could challenge you to come see my
totally
show.
could be.
Because you're totally not really into musicals very much at all, but I would challenge you to come see this. It's not until April, so maybe in April I will challenge. This will be one of my challenges to you.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, my next one is a lot more simplistic than your last one, but it is to rewire the back speakers here in the basement where I'm recording. It is wired. However, I had to go in there, I don't know, a month or two ago, and I had to cut the wiring and redo it. And so now the caps the connecting caps are exposed and not in the little hideaway because there's not enough wire. So I went and bought wire a while ago, and I just haven't done it. So I'm like, I need to make this a side quest just so I'll get it done. So there you go. I need to rewire the speakers.
You know what? You say it's simple, but if we didn't have the accountability like we talked about earlier in the show, it probably wouldn't get done. And so I like that you're using, because I'm doing the same thing, using this podcast to make sure stuff gets done.
Yes.
Because it is a little extra motivating. I totally did that last month. Okay, for my last one, it's actually a combo one, but I'm going to go fast because I was going to be done with the recording for the musical because I just know I'm so busy this month. And I totally forgot. The last month of March is my spring break. So, although I'm going to be super busy for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to have a week off. Now, what usually happens is I'm so burned out by spring break that I just sit around and veg and play video games. And that's great and all if you're 20 something. But I have all these responsibilities too. So I do want to take some time, some downtime to relax and recharge my batteries and play lots of video games. But I have basically 5 days off and I want to do something productive around the house each of those days. So I have five kind of shorter-ish side projects, and the goal is to do one each day during spring break. Real quickly, there are things like hanging up a bike rack that goes in the ceiling that
Right.
for our new house. Hanging up some pictures at the new house. Sending out that Bodden family reunion thing that I didn't finish last month. Unpacking some of my boxes from when we moved. Primarily the boxes full of Legos. I collect a lot of Legos. I don't know if you can see some of them behind my shelf. I probably don't have a lot on this shelf, but I love Legos. But some of them are still in boxes. I got to unpack those suckers. And then I'm going to spend one day doing some work too for, well, I mentioned the house interest rates went up and it's a lot more expensive. I will get a raise in my profession if I can take some college classes. If I can get 20
Nice.
credits of college, they'll give me a bump in pay. Now, I already have about 15. So I'm hoping by the end of this school year to get 5 more college credits. So I'm going to try and get one knocked out during spring break. And then I'd only need 4 more to get my raise. So
Yeah.
those are my,
Yeah. Gosh, if you could do that, that'd be great.
yeah, that's my spring break to-do list. And those are all my side quests.
Well, I'll say that's really impressive because, I know how stressful it can be for you for school, and I know how tempting it would be to just relax that entire spring break, and I would not hold it against you if you did. So, hey, that is great that you have these things that you want to get done each and every day, because if I were you, I'd probably be sleeping all day, every day.
I'll take a nap for sure.
Okay. Well, I have 2 more. One I mentioned earlier was once again to make the doctor's appointment, so I'm not going to really say much else on that. The other one is to flip something, just because I told you how wintertime is really slow and I don't have yard sales. But I'm trying to get myself back in the habit of just continue looking and trying to find stuff. Once we've paid taxes on my eBay sales from last year, I'm not going to have a whole lot left over. So I want to start building up my cash flow there. So when yard sales do start, if there is a big purchase to be made, which there generally isn't, a lot of the stuff I buy is $1 here, $2, $3 there. But if there is, hopefully I can start saving up some now. So I just want to flip one thing. That's it. Which might not sound like much, but historically speaking, January, February, and March, I don't sell a ton. So there you go.
Well, I'm glad you're doing this because I've already benefited. You've already started looking for things to flip. And the reason I know this is because occasionally I will benefit from your efforts because you will find something that I like and it's too far away for you to pick up. And recently you sent me a Destiny banner that you found
Yes.
that was pretty cool. And you had tagged me in the post because it was a classified, and I had responded and said, "Oh, I don't know where I would put it because it's a little big." And I honestly wanted it, but I honestly don't really have a good spot for it. And you
Right.
replied and said, "Hang it on your door." I hadn't thought of that. The door to my game room right here.
Yeah.
So I haven't told you this because I didn't reply to your text or that thread. I paid for it yesterday, and I'm going to pick
Yes.
it up tomorrow.
Yes. I am stupidly excited for this because I saw that and I was like, oh, that would be perfect in Brett's game room.
It's so cool. I don't have any wall space for it, and that's why I didn't
Yeah.
buy it. But then when you said, well, just put it on your door, I was like, well, duh, of course, yes.
Yeah.
So
I
thank
was
you,
half,
thank you.
I mean, it's a little bit too far for me, but I was half tempted to buy it and just be like, here, Brett, put this in your room.
It's cool. We'll have to post a picture on Twitter or something once I pick it up because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one of my problems is I just don't have, you see the shelves back here and yeah, I could add another shelf, I guess, but I just don't have a whole lot of room for like my shelves are, getting full. So when I see a lot of this new stuff, it's like, I don't know. But anyways, so yes, I'm really excited about that. But,
Well, thank you. Thanks for finding something you knew I would like and
Yeah.
figuring out how to make
Well,
it work.
Enough grinding, Brett. It is time to get into the main quests. Okay, Brett, I normally start, so let's have you start this time. Why don't you tell us what your gaming goal is for this month?
All right, I'm going to keep this simple because I've already talked about this. My gaming goal is to beat Assassin's Creed 2. I would have not put that down if I didn't have spring break. And the reason I need to get this done is if you remember in January, we set yearly goals and we get super big points in December if we accomplish our yearly goals. And one of mine is to beat the 6 Assassin's Creed games I haven't beaten. And I mean, as crazy as this sounds, March, that's a quarter of the way through the year. And if I've got 6 games and I haven't beaten any in the first quarter, I got a problem. So that's my goal. I am going to, and I've started this game too many times. I can't let it slip through the cracks again. So I am going to beat Assassin's Creed 2 this month.
So I gotta tell you quickly. I took my daughter up to an antique store today, and
And they had Assassin's Creed 2.
no,
It's an antique.
they did have postcards, which were kind of fun to flip through because a lot of them were used. So it's kind of fun to read the notes like, "Hey, Mom, I'm having a great time in Japan." Anyways, I did. This is total sidetrack. This is not what I was going to tell you, but I did find one postcard for Phantasy Star Online for the Dreamcast. Like mint condition, 22 years old, something like that. Anyways,
That was cool.
that might be right there the thing I flipped because I looked that thing up on eBay and there weren't sold comps, but there were listed comps for a postcard of up to $30, and I got it for 50 cents. So even if I sell
Okay.
it for $5, like who cares?
Okay, cool.
Anyways, that's not what I was going to tell you. What I was going to tell you is after that, we were in there for like an hour and a half. And so after that, I was like, okay, I was nice and was in there for way too long. So now you guys are going to come to this gaming store with me. It was her and her friend. So I dragged them into this gaming store and they had the Ezio collection on Switch in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have Assassin's Creed on 360. I almost bought it just because hearing you talk about 2 again, it's a game I've never beaten. Like, I kind of want to play it, but I have so many games I'm already playing. So thank goodness for once I used some restraint and I was like, no, I can't add
Good
another
job.
one to the mix.
That's how I'm playing it, by the way, for the record, is the Ezio collection on PS4, which I'm using my PS5 to play. So it's nice because it's a very accessible way to play it. I don't have to hook up my old system or something.
Yeah. Okay, so my gaming goal, I already talked about how it's hard for me and my wife to find time to play Hogwarts Legacy. So it's not any amount of hours or beating it or anything like that. It is simply to try and play it 6 times this month. Because at the rate we're going, that's a higher clip. We're kind of going like once a week. And then also because, there's going to be more gaming time for me than when I play that with her, is to get through 5 chapters of Fire Emblem Engage.
Nice.
Now, I know I'm going to be playing that, and I'm going to be playing a lot of Gotham Knights. But since Gotham Knights is a co-op goal, I figured I'd keep Fire Emblem Engage as my monthly gaming goal as well. So there's that.
Nice, nice. And for the record, I picked up Hogwarts Legacy too. I don't think I've mentioned that yet. And I will be playing that. I just didn't want to make a goal of that, but I am thoroughly enjoying that game. And for once, that's a game that you started before me, and I've now passed you. I think I'm probably 10 to 12 hours into it and really loving it. So I can't wait till you get a little further along, and maybe we can have that be a co-op goal or just talk about it on the podcast
Yeah.
a little more, because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a really hot game right now. Like everyone's playing that right now. And of course, Josh and I are always behind. We're never quite playing games when they're super hot. So if you're tuning into this podcast to get the latest and greatest about video games, we're a year or two behind. But we are playing that one right now.
It is killing me to play it so slow, and I don't think I've said it here, but I've tried to be creative with how we're playing it, because we have it on PS5 and we have a PS5 in our living room, but we only have one PS5. However, my wife a lot of times is like, can't we just play it in bed? And I didn't want to move the PS5. So what I did was, I know I could Steam Deck remote play it, but then I was like, yeah, but she's not going to want to watch it on a little screen. So I got the dock for the Steam Deck. I connected a PlayStation 5 controller to it and connected it to the TV in there. And it
That is
actually
dedication.
It
Nice.
actually works really well.
That's cool.
Is it as good as it would be directly on your PS5? No, like there's some little screen tearing and issues from, basically slinging it over to the Steam Deck and then onto the TV, but it actually works well, and I wouldn't be surprised if we play quite a bit of it that way. So, anyways,
That's cool.
side note.
Super cool. Super cool.
Okay, so what about your fitness goal?
Fitness goal. All right. We talked about how I exercised, I got to think back now, 19 times last month. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to go up to 20. I really believe in, and this is something I apply with my strength training, adding just one rep each time. It just builds over time, even though it doesn't seem like a lot. I think that's a great way to set a goal. You don't have to set some crazy goal that's so much harder than one you just accomplished. Just increase it by one. But I am going to make it a little more intense. Last month, I noticed that even though I exercised 19 times, only 12 of them were strength training. The others were walking on the treadmill or going for walks, which are great, which are absolutely wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But my focus, I'm really trying to focus on building some lean muscle. And so that was 63% of my exercises was strength training. So I want, of those 20 now that I'm going to do in this month, I want all 20 to be strength training. So 100% strength training. And on average, they take me at least an hour to get through these. But I have the most fun with them. And I'm not going to exercise unless I'm enjoying it. So let's do it. Let's do it. I can do it.
Okay, well, it's funny. We've talked about how we've kind of been on similar waves with like Smash characters, with with the video game sounds, and while our goals are different, kind of the structure is the same. So my fitness goal is to do 20 days of exercise again. I had 20 days last month.
20 is the magic number.
However, what I'm trying to do is, okay, I got to back up. First month, all my exercise was either walking the dog or walking on the treadmill. Last month, I did those same things as well. However, I started to jog on the treadmill. So if I was on the treadmill for like half an hour, I might jog for like 2 minutes, walk for 4, jog for 2, kind of that way. And then as I did that for a little while, then I was like, okay, maybe now I try and jog for 3-minute increments, and then, walk for 4. Then I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm still going to do the jogging for 3 minutes, but I'm only going to walk for 3. Then I'm going to jog for 3. So I'm still jogging more, but it's really this baby step approach. I'm not doing anything crazy intense or crazy hard, but what I want to do this month is to do 4-minute increments of jogging. And I know that doesn't sound crazy hard, but when you're still working yourself back in shape, adding one more, like when I get to 3 minutes, I'm like, okay, good. Now it's walking time. I can catch my breath a little bit. So
You're literally counting the seconds at that point. I've done that.
yes, where you're looking down and you're seeing the clock. So, So yeah, so I'm taking the baby step approach, and it works for me. That's, the biggest thing is finding whatever works for you. I've never been like a P90X guy, because I know if I do something crazy intense, I just won't want to stick with it. And maybe this isn't the best approach for everyone, but for me, it's what's been working. So I'm just taking that next baby step, and I'm gonna up the increment. So yeah, so 20 days of exercise and jogging 10 of those days, and increasing to 4-minute increments.
I
That's my
love it. I
fitness
love
goal.
it. I love it because it's the whole theme of what we're trying to emphasize here is that do what works for you. Don't compare yourself to others. Take baby steps. Take it slow. Don't beat yourself up. It's just great because that's the only way, in my opinion, at our age, with how much we got going on in our lives, to just have a healthy lifestyle balance. You can't go all in. We can't go
Right.
all in with gaming. If we did, we'd be playing Hogwarts, like everyone else for 100 hours. But it's about finding that balance. So,
Right.
good for you. Good for you. Okay, eating goal. This is where I've struggled the most the last 2 months. I've set eating goals that I've accomplished, but really the goals haven't moved me in the direction I need to be moving, which is simply just eating healthy food. I counted my calories and I fasted, but none of that's going to make a difference in my health if I keep eating so many treats. And I went back and forth on this, Josh, so many times because I was just so scared to commit. But I'm ready to commit. It's all or nothing. If I don't do this, there's no 1 points for this. I either got to do this or I don't. I'm gonna take the entire month and not have any treats. And what treats are to me is ice cream, cake, donuts, candy bars.
Okay.
Now, the little exception is I've got these little Dove promises of dark chocolate. I can have one of those, one or two of those a day. All right. And I'm going to try and limit carbs too. I don't want to go crazy like replacing treats with bread. That kind of defeats the purpose. But usually I don't have a huge problem with that. But, I might have once or twice a week bread with a meal or a pasta meal, but generally I try to avoid that too. But the main thing is, man, I just have been eating way too many sweets. And so I know this is going to be really hard. I'm going to go into withdrawals probably. And one thing I thought of that I've been trying the past couple days, because we've already been in March a little bit, is when those cravings come, trying to replace those with fruit. And I'm not worried about counting calories. I used to try to replace those cravings with fruit, but I would track my calories, and I wouldn't never reach a satisfied feeling,
Right.
and I'd eventually give into the cravings. So what I'm gonna do this time, instead of tracking calories, I'm just gonna eat the fruit. I gotta go slow though, so I don't eat too many calories, but I'm just gonna eat it until the cravings are gone. So I've been stocking up. My wife's really good at buying fresh fruit. So we've got pineapple and strawberries and blueberries and bananas, and we got these oranges shipped from California that were picked like 2 days before they were shipped to us, and they are just amazing. We got this huge, like, I don't know, 10-pound box of oranges or something. So I'm really hoping that will replace some of the cravings.
Yeah, and it's hard. I think I've gotten into a better spot with sugar cravings, but it's still not fully out of my system, and it takes a long time. So yeah, so good on you. I definitely agree that that'll be a very good thing. My eating goal this month is, I mentioned at the top of the podcast that it was late and we had to get this show going. My eating goal is to be caffeine free. Also, and once again, I'm kind of doing a tiered thing. No eating after 9 p.m. 60% of the time. I know that's really random. Um, I'm
I'm sure
not
it's based on
eating,
some number.
well, not really. I'm not eating a ton late at night, but like I said, I will have like a little snack. So I figure I don't want to say like none for the entire month, because I do get really hungry, and so I'm trying to just baby step my way into it. And so if I do have the occasional like cheese stick, like something small that's not really crazy high in calories or sugar filled, whatever, I'm not going to beat myself up over that. But I do want to start that habit. Now, the caffeine free thing, um, since I told you we're going over to France in the end of April, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea. Where I get my caffeine is from pretty much Diet Dr Pepper. That's my drink of choice. I know soda drinks aren't good for me, even if they're diet, even if they don't have calories. Like, it's just not great. But also, I need to give myself time to get off of them, so I don't have I don't want to have cravings when I'm over there. I don't want to have caffeine headaches. I don't want to be messing with that. And even if I said, well, to heck with it, I'm going to still keep drinking caffeine, I didn't want to have to spend my trip always seeking it out. Because when I drink it, some people can do moderation pretty well. I don't do moderation well. So it's kind of an all or nothing thing for me. I don't know if I'll continue this after the trip or not. If I do, great. I just know I've kind of yo-yoed with it for a long time, but at least I want to give myself time to flush it out of my system before we go on vacation. So, so yes, caffeine free, no eating after 6 p.m. And then also the same, staying under calories 85% of the time.
Nice. Those are great goals. And, that last one's similar to my sugar one. I'm not going to be able to stop eating sugar the rest of my life. You're not going to be able to stop drinking caffeine probably the rest of your life. I mean, maybe. It's probably more likely you could stop caffeine than I could stop sugar. But
I'll tell you
you
this.
got to get it out of your system, man. It's
I
tough.
started this last week. We ran
Nice.
out Sunday night. We ran out of Diet Dr Pepper, and I was like, well, this is as good a time as ever. And so what I've done, I kind of have a way I do it since I've done it before, is I don't just go cold turkey. I wean myself off with caffeine pills, and so like
smart.
Excedrin. So I started off the first couple days where I took 2 pills a day, so one in the morning, one in the evening, and then after 2 days of that, I did a pill and a half. So I did a pill in the morning, and then half a pill in the afternoon, and I've kind of just slowly gone down, and now 48 hours off of it, and today's been the hardest day.
Oh, shoot.
Yesterday was
And here
okay.
we are. It's 2 a.m. in the morning.
I know.
And you could use some caffeine right now, I'm sure. You're going strong still, though. Good job.
Yeah. So yesterday, the 24-hour mark, I was like, oh, I'm feeling pretty good. Today, I'm not gonna lie, I woke up, and after being up for like an hour or two, I laid on the couch, and the kids are like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm just really tired," and I just laid around for a little while. And I really contemplated, like, well, maybe I'll take another caffeine pill, but I just took some Tylenol. So I'm glad to be going through this now. So I'm hopefully won't have any of those issues on vacation.
Yeah. Well, and really what caffeine does is it doesn't give you energy. It blocks the hormone or whatever chemical process that's happening in your brain that signals that you're tired. And
Right.
so actually when you wean your body off caffeine, you can respond to its natural ebb and flows of what rest it needs more accurately rather than tricking your body through thinking it doesn't need rest. And then ultimately that results in having more energy. And so I think what you'll see, and you know this, is that in Europe you'll have more energy, and that's you'll be running around a lot wanting to see all these things, right? And if you're just faking your body through caffeine, or having the headaches because you can't find the caffeine, you're not going to enjoy your trip as much. So I think you're really smart the way you're doing it, and I hope you have a fabulous trip. Now, we're going to record our episode before you go, right? Because you're not going our next episode.
Yeah, we'll have. I mean, well, yes, the next one. Let's see. Yeah, the next one will be beginning of April. The following one we'll have to figure out because we'll either have to record it early or late. But yeah, we'll.
Yeah, I was just wondering when our listeners were gonna hear about your trip, but so you'll get one more episode before you get to hear about his
Yes.
awesome trip to Europe. So,
Yes.
yeah, awesome, great goals. Good luck, my friend.
Yeah, well, like I said, it was interesting because when I was like, we really do need to get this podcast going because I'm tired. I'm without caffeine, and this is a total, side note. But there's a guy from our church that texted me tonight and said, "Hey, can you and Andrew, my son, said, can you and Andrew come early in the morning and help set up chairs for church? We have 9 a.m. church." He said, "Can you come at 8 a.m.?" And I was like,
That's in 6 hours.
like, yeah, I was like, yeah, because I knew we'd be recording tonight, and it tends to go late, and we had some technical issues that caused some lengthy delays. So this is a later recording than we had hoped for. But anyways, it'll be fine. I'll take a nap after church tomorrow.
All right.
But
After church naps are the best. So, good luck.
well, Brett, in life, there are Glass Joes and King Hippos. You don't have to be either. Set your goals, get going, and come along with us as we strive to be both fit dads and game dads. Until next time, we'll see you later.